How do you know this?
That's what I do. I drink and I know things.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
When people ask you what happened here, tell them the North remembers.
And here we go.
Welcome to Not Another Movie Pod, episode 11. Zach Williamson, Ross Cutsforth, Luke Goosens. Today we're talking the Game of Thrones series finale.
Yes, sir.
Damn, boys, I can't believe we're done. It's over. That's it.
Crazy. Yeah. It's crazy.
No more until the prequels, at least. But
never gonna get to have that classic Game of Thrones experience again.
I know we're never gonna. I don't know if there's ever gonna be a show that people just get this hyped over every week, and just the fact that you like have to watch it as it airs, or you're gonna get spoiled by the internet. That kind of hype, you know.
For real, and like all the theories just in between each show, like each week is just so. I don't know. It's fun just seeing everyone's anticipation and hype.
Yeah, just what people come up with.
And the memes. I'm going to miss the Game of Thrones.
The memes, dude. That might be the best part of the season.
They're great.
Okay, yeah. And before we get into the review of this episode, we wanted to give a shout out to everyone who's listened to our podcast, especially the past 2 months since we started with Game of Thrones specifically. And especially everyone who submitted questions and has discussed the episode with us, rated it on iTunes, left reviews and all that. It means a ton. Honestly, when we started this, we didn't know if anyone was going to listen. So the reception's been awesome.
This is huge. Thanks. Yeah, thank you to everyone. It's awesome.
Shout out to everyone.
And we've been having people ask what we're going to do now that Game of Thrones is over. And, we have no plan to stop. It's going to keep going. There's still going to be Thrones news coming out in the next few weeks. They got that doc this weekend. I'm going to be watching that.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go beyond Thrones. We're going to start covering, we're going to focus more on just everything else, like MCU, Star Wars, just movie reviews every week.
We'll just be watching all the good movies.
Yeah, I think we're going to do John Wick 3. We're going to do John Wick 3 on our next pod. So if you haven't seen that, go see it. Just announced that there's going to be a 4th movie coming out. So that series is going to keep going. And eventually we're going to do like Stranger Things. We're going to do probably Westworld. I imagine once that rolls around too. That trailer looked pretty sick.
Oh, for sure. Westworld is so good. Fire.
Yeah, just a bunch of stuff like that. All right, moving on. So let's do the review. Luke, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So things I liked about the episode, the ending for all the Stark kids, obviously besides Bran, I thought was pretty good. Jon was back in the North at the Night's Watch, and he wasn't in a position of power. And throughout the show, he's been saying, I don't want this. I never asked for this. And so now he gets what he wants, which is which is to not be in that position. And then Sansa, she finally becomes a proper lady. She's the ruler of Winterfell. I thought them crowning her was a kind of cool scene. And then Arya, she never became a lady like her parents and her entire family wanted her to be. She was true to herself, and she ended up sailing west of Westeros.
Yeah.
Oh, one more thing on Jon's thing. I know he should have been burned. And even though he didn't get burned, even though he didn't get roasted, I thought, as the second best choice, I wasn't mad about it. I liked it. I liked his ending. And then, so another thing I liked was Jon saying goodbye to Arya. That was a really emotional scene for me, but it was kind of a bummer because it was like the only scene where I felt genuine emotion. I like the callback to Needle. He says, you still have your needle. That was really cool. I love that. And then just all the kind of badass shots of Daenerys, her going up to the Iron Throne, touching it, but then turning away and walking back down to Jon. I thought that also kind of showed that she still had a little human left in her. She turned away from the Iron Throne to be with the person she loved, even though he'd rejected her still. It showed a little bit, she still had a little bit of humanity left in her. And then obviously the badass cinematic shots, like her with Drogon behind her spreading his wings out, that was a cool one too. Those are like main things I liked. And then for dislikes, there's a lot we're gonna be roasting this one. But
it hurts to roast the finale this hard.
I know it's a bummer, but there's just like, okay, so some of the things that stood out to me right away was when Jon walks into Tyrion's cell or the room he's in, he immediately starts defending Dany to Tyrion he starts defending Dany to Tyrion, and that's right after Jon saw Grey Worm's like slicing the throats of the POW Lannisters on the orders of the Queen. And after he'd walked through the carnage and saw just, little kids burned, people walking out of the city just singed, looking like zombies. After he saw the pretty much sack and rape of King's Landing, and then it just getting torched and destroyed. Like the entire time, Jon's just seeing all this and he's in disbelief, and you can see how like his like disbelief and anger,
tortured he is.
Yeah, and it just doesn't make sense that immediately he'd turn to Tyrion and be like, "Oh, her best friend died." It's like it just didn't make sense to me.
Luke, the funniest part about that scene to me was he told Tyrion, "I can't justify this. I just can't." And then right after that, he just immediately starts justifying everything.
Yeah,
like you were saying.
Yeah, it just doesn't add up. It's like, what? Like maybe he's just blinded by love in that moment because he's
loyalty.
He's still conflicted with everything, with what he thinks he has to do in his head now. But he's refused Dany's advances a couple times now, and I don't know. I didn't understand why he was so conflicted, like just backing her up like that. And then another thing that pissed me off was when Edmure Tully tried to put himself out there for king. That was so dumb. It was supposed to be an important scene, and it made it even worse. We haven't seen him for 2 seasons now, and now he butts in trying to say something. It didn't make sense. And we all know he's already a clown. He's, he can't light his own father's funeral pyre. He surrenders his own castle to the Lannisters. He's a soft-ass bitch.
I mean, he could still be a good king and not be able to light the funeral pyre, but yeah, they definitely do make a point to like show that he's not respected.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't think Bran could make that shot with the bow either. But
Bran,
my man's a cripple.
Bran's in a wheelchair.
Yeah, he was terrible with a bow and arrow. Same with Edmure.
He was like
dude,
9.
he was 8. Bro, yeah.
Do you see Arya though? You see Arya? She was the same age.
Arya is a legend.
Exactly.
Dude, Arya's the GOAT. Are you serious?
That was shown. If you look back right then, that shows that hey, she was me a badass from the beginning.
There's a clear skill gap though. There's a skill gap there.
Maybe she was just a natural, dude. Like Bran just hadn't honed his skills yet.
Yeah.
Anyways, fuck Edmure Tully. But another thing that annoyed me was the continuities. It didn't make sense with the amount of Dothraki that was left. I know we touched on this last episode about how there's Dothraki left because in the war room at Winterfell they said, "Oh, only half died." But in the episode 3,
half, yeah, my ass.
Yeah, in the episode 3 behind the scenes, David Benioff, his quote is, "What the characters see is the end of the Dothraki, essentially." Which I was like, "What the fuck?" It just doesn't make sense, like how all these Dothraki show up.
The next 3 episodes, they continue to multiply in numbers.
Yeah,
over the course of time.
I'm just like, what?
Even from episode 5 to 6, I feel like there were more Dothraki.
Yeah, and then King's Landing being rebuilt within a span of 4 weeks. That didn't make sense either. And then Yara, or I don't know if it was Yara who got the ships for Grey Worm or Grey Worm. I don't know where these ships came from. I kind of figured they were Yara's, gave to Grey Worm. But even then, how did Yara get this huge fleet within a 4-week span? That doesn't make sense to me. Their fleet was decimated. They were destroyed.
Season 5 to like 8, ships just come out of fucking nowhere.
It doesn't make sense. Maybe they're just hella, I don't know. Maybe they're just hella efficient at making ships. But it just didn't make sense to me. And then the King's Council at the end, where it's Tyrion, Bronn,
the small council.
Yeah, the small council. Yeah. It felt awkward. It was like a Wes Anderson film where they're all like, "Long may he reign," and they're all saying it out of turn. It's just really weird. And then Bronn's like, "Oh yeah, that'll get better." It just felt like weird, awkward jargon that didn't. I don't know. It felt out of place.
But didn't Tyrion said that, right?
Yeah, it was Tyrion. He said it'll get better.
Oh yeah, he said it'll get better, and then Bran says something along the lines of, "I'm sure it will."
That's just such weird. It doesn't fit their characters.
It doesn't. It was just awkward and weird. I didn't know why they included that. And then Bran getting Cersei's haircut. That was whack.
They did have the same cut.
When I saw that, I was instantly just like, wow, you went straight for the Cersei look. Dude.
Yeah.
He might have the worst haircuts consistently over the show.
Oh, yeah. He always has those gross bangs, and his hair is usually greasy as fuck.
Well, he's always out in the wild. He's bumming it.
No, but I'm saying even as king, like his hair's greasy as a mafka.
Yeah,
it's gross. Maybe it's because he can't shower himself, or bathe himself.
A mafka? What's a mafka? Never heard of that.
Bro, J-Rock.
Mafka. Interesting.
See Trailer Park Boys? That's a J-Rock
No,
reference.
I haven't.
Damn, you need to study up, son.
Shit, my bad.
But yeah, all right. That was like my likes and dislikes. If I were to rate it out of 100, I would give it. I'm conflicted between between a 65 and a 70. Like, I want it to be a passing grade, but at the same time, there's just a lot wrong with it.
Yeah.
There were parts that I genuinely did like though. So I don't know. It's between a 65 and a 70 to me. If I were to rate it on 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ross, your turn.
Wait, was that your least favorite episode of episode 8 or of season 8?
Oh, least favorite? No, my least favorite was probably episode 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always gonna be my least favorite.
That was bad. That was just
Yeah.
bad. Just Rhaegal's death and all that. Oh.
Just
Yeah.
Cersei not killing all of them at the end.
Yeah. Too many fuck ups.
I know. That didn't make sense to me either. I was just like, why are you not taking this opportunity? Ugh. All right, I'm not going to think about that. Anyways, okay, so my pros, I had some pros, but then I had a lot of cons. I hate, it just sucks beating on a dead horse, I feel like. But, I mean, if a show is not good, you got to be honest about it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, starting with my pros, I thought that the strong point was definitely, it had a lot of great character moments and interactions. And there's a lot of scenes that just made you feel for these characters that you've had this journey with for 8 seasons. And you're really emotionally invested in all these characters. And when they're saying their final goodbyes and coming to the catharsis of their arc, it strikes an emotional chord for me. So some examples of that would be like Daenerys finally seeing / touching the Iron Throne. And the music was really good in that part too. I was like, wow, she's been on such a hard journey. If you think about it, I mean, yeah, she went straight evil in the last couple episodes, but yeah,
She went hard for it at the end.
but yeah, she's been through so much, and seeing her finally be able to like touch it just feels so good for her character to end. And then also it does tie back to that House of the Undying vision in season 2 where she sees the Iron Throne, and right before she claims it, well, she reaches out to touch it and doesn't touch it, but it's kind of like symbolic for her trying to claim the throne. Right before she does that, she hears Khal Drogo and Rhaego, and she goes out to see them beyond the wall. And that's kind of symbolic for her going to the afterlife before she's able to claim the throne, which I thought was pretty cool because she could have sat down in the throne, but instead she like looked back to Jon and faced him as more of an equal rather than looking down on him. And he ended up killing her, so it kind of fulfilled that vision a little bit for me.
Yeah.
Which I thought was cool.
I would say it fulfilled the vision.
Yeah.
She was like convincing him to do it unknowingly,
Yeah, just every word she was saying was like driving another nail in her coffin.
No, yeah, exactly. I was just like, oh,
Yeah.
fuck.
Jon was just like trying to talk it out with her. He wasn't trying to kill her. And then every time she said something, he was just like, oh man, I gotta kill her.
Yeah.
I can't let this chick go. Fuck. All right. And then Jon saying goodbye to his siblings for the last time. Like you said, Luke, you like that too. I really like that. It was touching. I've loved the Stark children always, except for some of them. They have some moments. But generally, I've loved them all, especially Arya and Jon. Another cool thing I thought was the shot with Daenerys walking up and then Drogon's wings coming up. It kind of felt like an homage to Be a Dragon when Olenna Tyrell said that. Really brought her full circle as being this evil queen. She just looked really evil right there too. It might have been, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, it might have been a little too on the nose, but it was still a cool shot. Her speech as well was really good for her character. Obviously, what happened last episode. She went crazy, and I didn't like that decision that much. Well, I mean, the decision I'm fine with, but I didn't like how it was executed. But now that that decision's done, I feel like they handled her character after that pretty well for this episode. Her speech was pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
I like that.
Her speech is badass.
Yeah, I like that. And then another really cool shot that I liked from this episode was Drogon coming out of the snow. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, he just appeared there.
Yeah, Jon was just walking up. You definitely, I didn't see him for sure at the first time I was watching.
No, I didn't even think about it at all.
He just pops up, and I'm like, damn, all right, that was cool. And then my other pro, just like, well, this was a con for you, Luke, but I was saying, thank God Edmure got shut down. So kind of a pro and a con there. Cons for Edmure standing up in the first place, and a pro for him getting shut the fuck down by Sansa. That was cool. And then, all right, on to the cons. So My main issues with it was everything to me felt too convenient and rushed. I'll kind of explain that over the rest of my cons.
So you're talking about the season in general, right? The season felt rushed to you?
Yeah, the season in general and also this episode.
Episode. Okay.
Yeah. All of the Stark and children getting exactly the happy ending they want. Tyrion getting the happy ending he want. Pretty much everyone that was either morally gray or became a villain in the show died, and all the good, like, quote unquote good guys won.
Yeah, but Tyrion didn't want to be Hand. He didn't want it at all. He was so over it.
Bro.
That wasn't like a happy ending for him.
In season 2 and 3, he literally says that's who he is. He says, this is what I do. This is what I'm best at. I love doing this. He tells that to Shay.
That's season 2, dude. It's been 6 seasons since then. All the shit he's gone through, he's so over, like, having to make decisions and rule, and now Bran thrusts him back into doing the exact same shit he's done for fucking literally like 10 plus years now.
Why do you think he's over it when he keeps going back?
He didn't go back. Bronn made him.
Yeah, he didn't have a choice.
Well, he went back to Daenerys after he killed his dad. He went through a lot of shit there, and you would think that would maybe make him want to stop. But
yeah, but where was he gonna go? Like, who was he gonna go to after he killed his dad?
He could have just went to brothels and shit and just went hard.
Yeah, but that wasn't really him at that point anymore. Like, he'd been over that. He'd been over his fucking brothel phase by that time.
I'm just saying this is a very happy ending for his character.
For us, but maybe not for him, is what I'm saying.
Okay, well agree to disagree.
All right.
So, yeah, I think a lot of the characters it didn't feel very Game of Thrones. It felt like a lot of people got the endings, like what was best for that character, basically. And then some of the scenes were a little too drawn out, and some of them went by too fast, in my opinion. And an example of this would be some of the dialogue wasn't effective. Well, I mean, a lot of the dialogue was good, but some of it just didn't move the scene along fast enough. Like the scene where Jon and Tyrion are talking when Tyrion is prisoner, not when Jon is prisoner. When Jon and Tyrion are talking about Dany before he goes to kill Dany, the dialogue in that, a lot of it was like Jon either playing dumb or him defending Daenerys. And it didn't really move the scene along very fast. And a lot of times, Jon would be sitting there for seconds without saying words, which I get he has to make a tough decision, but it just felt very drawn out to me, in my opinion. Also, yeah, the only saving grace to me for that was Jon's line about love being the death of duty. I thought that was a really cool line. Call back to Maester Aemon when Jon wants to leave the Night's Watch because his brother Rob's going to war and his dad's captured, or Ned Stark's captured, who he views as his dad. And Aemon talks about when Aerys's children are getting killed in the sack of King's Landing, and all he wants to go do is go down there and protect them. But he tells Jon, love is the death of duty, and if I went down there, I'd be abandoning the Night's Watch and my oath. So I thought that was a really cool callback. It seemed like the characters kind of waited for the plot rather than being characters that were in active situations, like forcing the plot along, like forcing new actions for the plot to continue. And an example of this would just be Dany kind of waits for the plot to come to her in this episode with Jon talking to Tyrion. The whole plot for that part is just revolving around him kind of making this decision, and Dany's just kind of sitting around waiting. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Would you agree or not?
No, I was okay with the flow.
Yeah, you were okay with it?
Yeah.
I did think to what you were saying right before this about Tyrion and Jon in the cell, I felt like that was drawn out. It's just like,
yeah.
And Tyrion's lines weren't as impactful as I thought they could have been, but yeah.
That was a long scene. That was like probably 9-10 minutes, but I was okay with it overall for me. At least.
Yeah, that might honestly be why I feel like Dany was waiting, just because that scene was really long. But maybe that could be why.
I see what you're saying.
And then Tyrion's line, now Varys' ashes can tell my ashes. See, I told you. It was kind of like another one of those things, like you said, Luke, about how it just ruins the gravitas of the scene, and, not in a good way. It doesn't break it up, the seriousness, in a good way. Like, you kind of want that impact, that payload, and it's just taking away from all these big dialogue exchanges between characters, in my opinion. And also, we were robbed of the Jon versus Grey Worm 1v1.
Fucking robbed.
Yeah.
They were setting it up so well, too, with Jon and Grey Worm talking, and then, I don't know how Jon didn't die, which was another one of my complaints.
Who do you guys think would win? Hold on one sec. Who do you think would win one-on-one between Grey Worm and Jon?
Jon and Grey Worm.
I think Grey Worm would probably win. He's so much quicker than Jon.
He's got reach with his weapon too.
And he has the spear. Yeah.
Plus, Jon doesn't wear armor that would deflect a spear. He wears like furs, and he wears a little bit on his upper chest, but that's pretty much it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Grey Worm would for sure win.
Oh yeah, I was gonna pick Grey Worm too, unless Jon slices his spear up.
Yeah, if he could get inside,
that might be his only chance. Yeah,
just get inside and slash him.
If Jon were to win, he'd have to get bailed out like every other fight he's been in.
He gets bailed out so much.
So much.
It's crazy.
Well, he's the chosen one, bro. So
he is. Well, yeah, I guess. And then this is kind of nitpicky, but just something I noticed was I have no idea how Grey Worm got in front of Jon. When Grey Worm is killing the Lannister soldiers, he still has about 4 more to kill. Jon starts walking away to go up to Daenerys. As he's walking up the stairs, he sees Grey Worm at the top, and I'm just picturing like Grey Worm cutting the throats as fast as he possibly can, and then just sprinting to get in front of Jon. But
yeah, but I was thinking about this, and I think that there had to have been just some time in between because they had to gather all the Unsullied, all the Dothraki, and probably kill all the Lannisters and clean everything out. And they had to hang up that massive Targaryen sigil off the fucking wall. And Daenerys kind of cleaned up a little bit. I think there could have been time in between that. I don't really have a problem with that part.
Yeah, they just didn't really display that very well.
Yeah.
Okay, so then Grey Worm says, this was a big one for me, was Grey Worm completely just kind of becoming a bitch during the Dragon Pit meeting. So Grey Worm says, this is his words, says the city is the Unsullied's now. And then after he says that, he lets Tyrion talk. After telling him, you can't talk, he continues to let him talk. And then he says, all right, let's choose a king for your city that you just took. And we're your enemies. And I'm your prisoner. And we're deciding who the king is while you sit there and you're silent. And Grey Worm says, all right, you guys can choose the king. And then he doesn't say a word for the whole discussion until Bran chooses Tyrion as his hand. That doesn't make sense to me. Why would he let them just choose the king of the city when they're enemies? Do you guys feel like that or not?
I don't know. I figured he kind of, as I was watching it, I just figured he kind of was wanting to wash his hands of this because now he doesn't have his leader anymore. And
I think he was just thinking about Naath, maybe?
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. I figured he was just thinking about returning back to Essos.
Yeah. It's just weird because he's like so full of rage. And then when Daenerys dies, he doesn't experience any rage. He just kind of looks mad. He just looks mad, but never really does anything. But when Missandei dies, he kills everyone that Daenerys tells him to. I guess he probably does love Missandei more.
Yeah, Missandei was like the one thing he like truly loved, you know. I mean, obviously he loved Daenerys and he like followed her, but you know, Missandei was like his girl, so
yeah. It's just weird that he didn't want revenge.
He was always operating under Daenerys' orders. When he kills everyone, it's after Daenerys makes the move.
I know. I'm just saying it's weird he doesn't want revenge for Daenerys' death at all, really. Because he just keeps them prisoners instead of killing them. So that was weird to me. Then another thing that I just thought could have been maybe a little better, in my opinion, thought it would be better if Tyrion said, instead of saying who had a better story than Bran, because a lot of people did have a more intriguing story than Bran, he could have said who can tell a better story than Bran. That would have just made more sense with the situation and Bran's character.
I mean, but you didn't know what he meant?
What do you mean?
I mean, I knew what he meant, just that Bran has everyone's stories. He can tell, like, he has everyone's story. He can tell all these stories. He knows everyone's past.
No, that's not what he was saying. Because he says who has a better story than Bran, and then proceeds to tell Bran's story directly after that. So he was talking about Bran's story itself, not the stories that Bran can tell. But then afterwards, he said a story can hold the kingdom together. So he was referring to both aspects. Or were you going to say something?
No, I mean, you just answered your own
yeah.
question.
Okay. One other thing was, why did the North go independent? Because now they don't get to vote on any future rulers. So I don't really get what they were trying to gain there, besides maybe just Sansa trying to be queen. But if they would have stayed part of the kingdom, they would have got to vote on the future rulers, because they said kings will be chosen now by the higher-ups, by the lords of Westeros. And now the North just doesn't even get to participate in that. So,
but if they're independent, then they obviously don't want to participate in it, and it doesn't matter anyway, because that king will have no say over the North anyway.
Wouldn't you want to participate in that? Because what if the next ruler, there's some corruption and people are trying to get somebody really bad in, and then Sansa has no say in that because she's not part of Westeros anymore?
That's her fault. She's independent now.
That's just what I'm saying. Like, that wasn't a smart decision.
Yeah, but then she's outside of that, and she doesn't have to be a part of that corruption if the next ruler is like corrupt, you know?
But I'm saying, what if they get a corrupt ruler who wants to conquer everybody, and then that new ruler wants to conquer the North, and now they have to fight against this new like dictator type ruler because they didn't get to vote in who they picked, or they can get a say.
Even if that happens, she seems like she's willing to start a war for that. Last time when they were part of the Seven Kingdoms, her father died. You know, like the North has just been shit on kind of throughout the course of them being incorporated, like being part of the Seven Kingdoms. Maybe she just wants to get outside of that. She's over it.
While that is true, they also did get shit on a lot while they were independent as well. Like they had to fight the Boltons and all the other houses to bring them into their fold. So, I mean, you're kind of going to have to fight wars nonetheless, but if you can prevent a war, then it's in your interest.
Yeah, but the North was kind of broken at that point. You know, like they didn't have like one, like a strong ruler. Like it was Bran.
That was when they were still in their formative.
Yeah. It's not like, they didn't have a strong ruler at the time. And I don't know, like going forward, the North has been pretty easy to defend, you know, in wars. They have the neck and they can defend people coming north from the neck.
The only thing they would be vulnerable to is maybe a navy or something.
Ships. Yeah, true.
Because they can move around in the North faster than people on foot.
Yeah, I didn't really have the biggest problem with it, honestly.
Yeah.
I saw her.
Well, then just another thing to me, why would you even want to secede from Bran? It's not like Bran's going to be passing judgment that would hurt you. You're a sibling. He's going to be a good ruler.
But for like future rulers, like you're saying, what if someone comes and fucking tries to and is crazy? You know, it'd be better that the North's just not part of that. Yeah.
Okay, so moving on. On the second rewatch, I caught this one. So Bran is talking about Tyrion becoming his hand, and Grey Worm says, "No, we need justice. We don't want lands or money. We want justice." And then Bran says, "Oh, Tyrion is paying justice. He's had a lot of mistakes, and he'll spend the rest of his life fixing them, serving his hand." And then Grey Worm pauses for a little bit, and he looks at Tyrion, and he says, "No, that's not enough." And then no one really addresses that, and never gets brought up again for the rest of the episode.
I think he was talking about Jon, right?
No, he was looking at Tyrion, and they were talking about Tyrion's punishment.
Doesn't it jump right after that, though, to the Jon scene?
Yeah, it does. But he was looking right at Tyrion, and they were talking specifically about Tyrion. So
I don't think they were. I mean, okay.
They were talking about him being the hand, and then he said that's not enough punishment. So it was definitely about Tyrion, and then they never said anything more about it, and it just skipped to the next scene, which was the Jon scene. Which, if they're trying to tie that together, then it doesn't make sense because they were definitely talking about Tyrion. So I thought that was weird. And okay, so why do you think they're setting up every single character arc's conclusion for a spin-off if they already stated that this is going to be the end point of the, A Song of Ice and Fire world, the whole story, basically? This is the end point. Why do you feel like they're setting everyone up as, because like they could have a spin-off of Arya going to Westeros, Jon and Tormund and Ghost in the North, Sansa being the Queen of Winterfell, the Small Council in King's Landing, even Dario over in Essos, or Drogon flying around doing shit.
Doing Drogon shit.
Yeah, they just set every character up. They set them open-ended. Same with Grey Worm too, even though Grey Worm's probably going to die because of the butterflies. What do you guys think?
I feel like they just like left it up to kind of our imagination, which I think is kind of cool. Yeah. Arya sailing off to be a badass motherfucker, like wherever she's going, probably into some magical place. Like it's just like up to your imagination. You can run wild with the possibilities and the shit that she's gonna do there. I didn't think it was that bad. We all knew that this was gonna be the end, so it was kind of just like, all right, well, they're now all just doing their own shit. I wasn't that mad about it.
Zach, do you think later on down the line they will do spinoffs? Because they did say this is the end, but you never know. Maybe 10, 15 years down the road, they'll open it up. What do you think?
I think people's lives go on, so they're all going to go doing adventures. But I'd say the conquest for this throne has been just decided with Bran on it. So I think it was the end of the story. And I don't think they're going to do anything. I mean, like, just because they've all said that. George R. R. Martin says for his books, this is the end of the story. And Casey Bloys, who is the HBO exec of all this, he said that there's so much more universe to explore backwards that's where they want to keep going with it. But who knows, maybe 10 years down the line, they get some of these actors to come back and to say, hey, let's do some sort of spin-off with it. Because there are adventures that you can always keep going.
Yeah.
I don't think that they will.
They just did a lot of open-ended character arc endings, so that's just kind of it made me curious. Maybe they will, but you're right. Yeah, maybe they will. Also, this isn't shade at Podrick because he did prove himself at the Battle of Winterfell. I'm just asking. Do you think Podrick was the best choice to be on the Kingsguard, or do you think there was better people out there?
Zach, you're the one with the fucking man crush for Pod the Rod.
Yeah, I mean, I like Pod the Rod on the Kingsguard. I think he has clearly shown that he's capable, and
Yeah.
he's been working under Bran, who's arguably the best swordsman in Westeros right now, and he held his own in the Battle of Winterfell. And yeah, I'm down with Sir Pod the Rod.
Pod the Rod for life, baby.
Yeah, I'm on board. Let's do it.
He gets to stick by the brothels too, though. That whole time Bronn was talking about brothels, Pod was just smirking in the back, like, "Yeah, build those brothels up, baby."
Yeah, the women of Westeros are gonna be bummed for sure because he's celibate now. He can't do any of that. But I'm with it.
Pod low-key will break the rules, I feel like.
Yeah, Grand Maester Pycelle slang dick when he should.
Big time.
Pod the Rod can, sneak in and out.
Dude, Samuel Tarly fathered a child.
Yeah.
And he was swore to 2 places that said no kids.
Dude, for real. For real.
He said fuck it.
I'm busting nuts.
I'm doing me, yeah. And then all right, okay, 2 last things. So 1, I'm pissed we didn't get to know what happened to Tyrion when he brought that jackass in a honeycomb into a brothel, but it's just kind of a running gag, so
Yeah, it was like the 3rd time, I think.
I'm not actually that mad, but yeah. It would have been cool. Would have been
Just
cool
bummed.
to see. Yeah. Maybe we'll see it in one of George R. R. Martin's Winds of Winter or Dream of Spring. Possibly. That'd be cool. And then the last thing was just, what was the point of the White Horse in the last episode? There didn't seem like there was a point to that.
Yeah, I have no
What do you guys
answers.
think?
I have no answers.
Like, that one honestly just leaves me befuddled.
Yeah. They didn't even, they didn't bring it back for episode 6.
You shouldn't even ride in on
I
it
don't
or
know.
anything.
No.
It was just
I
a
don't-
random Dothraki horse that somehow survived Daenerys roasting everything, I think, and then she just rode it out.
Yeah. They just made such a scene about it, too, though.
Yeah, for
Like,
real.
it was in slow-mo, and she was, like, intensely staring into his eyes. Yeah. Yeah, well, that pretty much does it for me for pros and cons, mainly cons, but that's it. You want me to give my number rating, or?
Yeah.
Go for
Rank
it.
that bitch.
Oh, okay, this is, man. I feel like whatever I'm going to say is going to sound like it's too low.
Oh, you're going to say below 50, huh?
No,
I thought you were for sure going to say below.
I really want to say 58. 58 or 60. I don't know if I can give it 50, though.
With the way you talked about it, 58 sounds,
That sounds a little high for how you were talking about it.
No, I thought it sounded right on the mark.
Oh,
Like-
okay.
Because, dude, that's a F, man.
Yeah.
And you had a lot of shit to talk about it. So, I feel like that's fitting of what you said about it.
58. I'm going with it. All right, Zach.
All right, for me, like I thought it was okay. There's some good parts. There were some parts that I thought were really bad too.
Yeah.
I've had a different approach to this finale, I think, than most people. Just people have been really negative towards this season, and I, for the most part, have enjoyed this season. Besides episode 4, I really said I didn't like that episode at all. There was just a lot of stuff really bad with that one, and just how much it set up the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And so yeah, just saying, like, again, this episode, I thought there's some good parts and bad. What I did like going in, the set looked amazing. Again, for listeners who don't know,
Yeah, the set is a masterpiece.
yeah, and they built this new King's Landing set from scratch in Belfast, so it's like right behind the Winterfell set. And so like that opening with Jon, Tyrion walking through with ash falling down, there's scorched bodies everywhere. I thought it was solid. It really showed the destruction Daenerys caused in the aftermath, and I liked that they showed that. I didn't think they were going to show that to start. And you see like a man with his back completely burnt walking through. There's another person in like just in the corner looking down and defeated. He probably just lost his family or something.
Wait, you didn't think they were going to show that?
I didn't know if they were going to show all that, if they were just going to brush it over and try to rush, because there was a lot that they needed to wrap
if
up.
they did that.
Brush over the destruction like that?
Just them
Yeah.
walking through it all.
If they did that, I'd
Taking
be
it in.
pissed.
Oh, that would be ridiculous.
Yeah, I'd be pissed.
Also, shout out the unknown soldier. That dude survived again.
He was a beast.
Yeah, he was behind Jon when he offered to send men with Tyrion, and then also when there was the Grey Worm and Jon kind of face off. And like this dude's a legend. Like this guy has survived when Stannis fought Ramsay somehow in that bad battle that they got like slaughtered in.
All these battles have such a high attrition rate too.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And then he like joins Jon's army, fought in the Battle of the Bastards.
Yeah.
Fought the Battle of Ice and Fire against the White Walkers, and then now the Siege of King's Landing. Like this dude, shout out, man.
What are the odds?
I don't know. He
deserves a cooler helmet. I hate those northern helmets. They're so ugly.
Yeah, they look kind of derpy.
Yeah, they do. Also, if you think Pod has a big dick, that dude probably has a massive dong. if he can survive all that.
Well, dude, do you see his beard? His beard is impressive as hell.
That's the only way I can recognize him.
Yeah.
The beard and the derpy helmet. Always.
It's his trademarks.
Yeah.
Trademark.
And then I really like the scene with Jon and Grey Worm, like you guys were saying, squaring off. I really thought that was like setting it up for a one-on-one that never happened.
Would have been cool.
Yeah, it would have been sweet. And then you got Tyrion walking through Cersei's conquest room with the map of Westeros, and then he goes down. And this was kind of like where my first problem with the episode was for me.
Yeah.
Tyrion has a very emotional scene with it when he discovers his brothers and sisters, and I thought that was pretty good acting. The music was really good. But dude, there's just no way that like there should have been way more rubble and stones. And I like when at the end of this episode, you think that you think the castle's caving in on them, and it just looked like if they had moved a couple feet over to the right, they might have missed all that completely.
Yeah, when you're watching that episode, the ceiling's like straight falling down. But then
and there should just been layers and layers. They should have been crushed.
Yeah,
your body
like
should have been
hailing.
recognizable.
I mean, they were crushed, but like
but they looked okay.
And then in the next episode, it just looks like one single layer like fell down, basically.
Yeah,
dude, those bricks are big. Like that would from a like high ass fucking height. That would have probably fucked them up.
Each of those bricks probably weighs like 80 pounds.
They're big.
Yeah, there should have just been more.
Those bricks are fat.
Yeah, and then there's just like Balerian's skull that was pretty close, that looked pretty sturdy. That they could have hidden under that.
Yeah,
and it's fun fact too about this is that both the actors, Len Hetty and Nikolai Coster-Waldau, they both made $1 million just for that 2 minutes that they were in there.
Getting that money.
Securing the bag, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Then it's the next scene. Jon's walking up. He spots Daenerys, or she swoops down on Drogon. And I think that was my favorite shot of the episode, was just with the dragon flapping behind her.
Yeah.
And
just all the Drogon porn was great.
This whole episode, every scene with him was really good.
It kind of reminded me of when Saruman is on the ledge and he's like looking out over his armies and he's like addressing him. It kind of reminded me of that. And they're like,
Yeah, oh, dude. Oh, such a badass scene.
Yeah.
Gets you hyped when you hear all the orcs and Orcai just...
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I really like Daenerys' speech, too. She's rocking her fit. She's giving off some serious Hitler vibes in that speech about liberating the world.
For real.
And you can just tell that she wasn't going to stop in King's Landing. She's going to keep going. And I like that they had an interview after, and she said what she was trying to do with that speech is because she's talking all these ridiculous languages that aren't real, that she watched like dictator speeches from other nations in the real world.
Really?
Yeah. And
Damn,
just to
that's
see,
dope.
Yeah, just to see if you could pick up their tone and what they were trying to say.
Oh, that's so cool. Hell yeah.
Without understanding. Yeah.
Dang, that's pretty cool acting right there.
Yeah.
It's
And
badass.
I thought she did a really good job in that scene. It
Yeah.
really felt like, hey, this is where she's at. She's Mad Queen mode right here. And then I saw people critiquing Jon on this part too, which I think was unnecessary, just because like he noticed when she says Winterfell in Valerian. And I think for me, it's just anyone like that's like you can kind of tell that's what she was saying right there was Winterfell and a couple of the places. So
especially when
didn't
she
get-
says like Dorne and Castle Rock and all that.
it's not
Mhm.
it's not a plot hole like people are saying. He didn't really understand it. He could just tell that she was saying something.
Yeah, and it definitely sounded like Tyrion said too. It doesn't sound like she's a person who's done conquering.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And then I like Tyrion and Daenerys' interaction too up top there. Tyrion's kind of sticking it to her. And at first she's just like, hey, you betrayed your brother. And I almost thought maybe she was going to give him another pass that she's been doing lately. And then he makes that comment about just roasting the city and ruins and then throws his pin. And I liked all that. I thought that was a really good part.
I thought that part was cool. It stood up for himself against Daenerys and
Yeah, for what he believed.
yeah.
Mhm. Even when he knew that she even told him, she's like, if you mess up one more time, then that'll be your last time you ever mess up.
Mm-hmm.
And he like
He
doesn't
knew.
care. He's like,
Yeah.
this is my line. I'm
Mhm.
standing my ground.
Yeah, and then right after that, Arya just comes out of nowhere to talk to Jon, and she's the one who first plants the seeds that he needs to do something about her because she's going to kill him, is what she was saying. And then also, she's saying Sansa's not going to conform to her. She's not going to join her, so
Hell no.
yeah. And then it goes even further in the next scene. Tyrion's playing seeds, just, hey, we got to do this. We got to kill her. Look what she's become. And I especially like the part where Tyrion brings up Jon's sisters, because even up till then, like you guys were saying, Jon was still trying to defend Daenerys and try to find just like a level ground in all of it. I just like that parallel because it calls back to season 1 when Varys is talking to Ned in the crypts, and Ned says, "Do you think my life is something precious to me?" And then Varys mentions that his daughter's lives wouldn't be safe if he dies there. They wouldn't be safe in King's Landing. So that's why he ends up lying for Joffrey to save them. It's just both of them being very honorable and true to their characters. Then next scene is Daenerys' death scene, and I really liked this scene. I thought it was a good way for her to go out. The song in the background was super eerie, and it, just like you were saying, Ross, it paralleled back to the House of the Undying. She touches the throne, but never sat in it again. And then I like that little part where she's talking just how she thought the throne kind of looked different, because that was the first time she's ever actually seen it. And that was kind of like a call out to George R. R. Martin, because he always says that in his books it's super ugly and massive and there's 1,000 swords poking out everywhere, and it doesn't look anything like that in the show. So I think they were just going with that.
Yeah, and how she described it is exactly how the book rendition is drawn of it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Cool little nod. Yeah,
and then right after that, it's Daenerys and Jon discussing, and I thought she even made some good points in there, and just how Jon has executed people, and Jon was still trying to plead with her to make sense, and even up until the time that he does it, he's asking, well, what do the people get to do? How do they get to choose? And she's like, they don't get to choose, and he just knows what he has to do right then, And it even felt like for a second he says, "You're my queen always," that he was still going to even remain loyal to her when he's kissing her. I was like, oh shit, is this the twist they're going to go with? Is he going to stay on her side? And then right after that, you hear the knife. I'm like, nope.
Oh god, Jon goes evil too. He says, screw it.
He just joins her. He just stays loyal to her is what I meant for that split second. And there was no way. And I was talking to Ross about this, but I think it just, Daenerys in this scene, she was so full of joy and a sense of accomplishment that she finally got the throne. And that was what she always wanted more than anything, and she kind of let her guard down, and it's Jon too, and she's thinking that she can do anything in this moment, and she can try to win Jon back over and make him see her way, and it didn't work out.
Oh, when Jon says, "You're my queen now and forever," he definitely means that. Like, he still loves her in that moment. He just realizes she's got to go.
Yeah, and she probably thought it worked right then too, and because he kissed her, and then nope.
That just shows the danger of somebody who thinks they have a destiny to fulfill. To be a ruler, it's a dangerous mindset.
Yeah, and then right after that, you got Drogon trying to wake up Daenerys, and he's doing it like Simba trying to wake up Mufasa. And that was probably the saddest moment of the episode for me. And because in this moment, you realize that Drogon has lost everything. He's lost his brothers, his mothers, his house. He's only like 6 years old, and he has to live another 200 years by himself, basically, unless he gets another rider. But I don't think he's going to go for Jon after this.
Isn't that crazy, though, Zach? That in the final episode of all Game of Thrones, the most emotional you felt was for a CGI creation.
Well, just that whole scene was sad. I mean, with Daenerys, and it was all sad.
Okay, true. Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
I wasn't sad for her, dude. She just burned the city, whatever.
I was sad that Jon had to. It was just that he loved her and he had to do that.
Yeah, true. That'd be like one of us trying to stab our girlfriends. Man, that would suck.
Yeah.
That was so tragic. It was really tragic. You know what else was tragic was Tyrion, this character who he's not directly involved for the murder of all of his family members, but he's either directly or indirectly involved to all their murders. They could all be tied back to him. Like, his mother died giving birth to him. He killed his father directly. And then he indirectly, in a way, killed Jaime and Cersei by joining Daenerys. We might not see it that way as viewers, but Tyrion could feel that way as a character because he, for one, he sent Jaime back to go save them, and then they died on the route that he told them to take. And he also joined the enemy of his family, and she ended up being evil. So that's just such a tragic character for me, I think.
Yeah. His family was also mostly evil. So.
Yeah, that's true. not his mom.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Why did you guys think that Drogon burned the throne? Well, what did you guys say earlier?
I said he just realized that the throne was what had consumed Daenerys, and so he was just over it. I figured that he was just more mad at the throne than he was mad at Jon, because that also didn't make sense because he's the one that burned King's Landing on Daenerys' behalf. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's like, oh, is he that smart to realize that?
I don't have a good answer for that.
Yeah,
it's a cool thought. It's a cool thought that it could be that.
Yeah. Like I was talking about this with you, Zach, the other day. Is Drogon smart enough to attach meanings and symbolisms to object, or is he not quite that smart? Is he not quite at human level, but close? Yeah, it kind of depends.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, because Tyrion did say once that dragons are intelligent and they're possibly more intelligent than men, but it's not confirmed 100%.
A lot of speculation.
Yeah. But they do feel things.
Yeah,
because like we have seen Drogon feel for his mom, like when Jorah died, and we've seen when the dragons recognized that Tyrion was there to help them when they were locked up.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Luke though. Drogon, especially the dragons in general, but Drogon especially, has been showed to be temperamental.
Yeah,
and angry, hot-headed. So I really thought he would have lashed out at Jon, who he sees holding his mother's dead body in his arms.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he would have lashed out at him.
Yeah.
I thought it would have been cool if he did. Maybe Drogon bites at him and then Jon sidesteps him, plunges long claw straight through his mouth, little Chamber of Secrets style. Basilisk. That would have been cool.
Yeah, I had a theory. My theory on just why it didn't go down like that. I was thinking maybe just because, like, we know in the history of Westeros that there was a Targaryen civil war and dragons have killed Targaryens, so it can't be. It's not just that. But I was thinking maybe because there might have been a time in history where it's one dragon and one Targaryen left, that he didn't do it for that reason.
Yeah,
that's my theory with it.
Because they can't sense the Targaryen blood and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and so yeah, I mean. For me, right up to this mark, this is about 45 minutes into the episode, and I thought it was pretty good right up to there. And then right after that is when it started to fall off. Yeah, besides the Cersei Jaime part, but other than that, I thought it was pretty good. And then we get suddenly it's a month later, it's not snowing anymore, and I just didn't really like this grouping scene overall. It just felt like they didn't spend enough time really thinking this out. This is the decision they're going to make, and then they're listening to a prisoner the whole time. And the roasting of Edmure was funny. I didn't like that he even stood up. I was like, dude, what are you doing? Sit down, Edmure.
They should have killed his character off back in season 5 or 6.
Yeah, this dude was just locked up for the past couple years, and he thinks he's just going to stroll in and be king? No way.
Yeah.
And then Sam tries to start democracy, and everyone pans it. I thought that was funny. And I honestly, for a second, thought they might go that route, like that they were going to do the democracy, and then it quickly, everyone just starts laughing. I'm like, all right, no way. Yeah, that wouldn't even make sense that they would all agree to that.
When they all started laughing at him, I felt so embarrassed because I was like, shit, I had a theory about this.
I know, like, I've talked about that too, so I was like, damn, yeah, I'm a fool.
Yeah.
And then Tyrion suggests Bran, and like, okay, it makes sense because he can Logically, yeah, because he can use the memories of all the former kings and queens to learn how to be the best ruler and what people did wrong. And people can't scheme against him as much because he can see things. He can look into their past and see what they're doing if they're trying to dethrone him. And I think he could be a fair rule and not get corrupt by power, like we've seen every other ruler in this show. They've all been corrupt in some way. But this dude just sucks. Like Bran just, I don't know. And even Isaac Wright, who plays him, said that he thought it was a joke the first time he read the script and saw that. And I just think it shows a little bit how they just didn't use this character properly the past couple seasons. In the books, he's the first point of view character after the prologue in the first book, and George always comes back to him in the next books, even as Tyrion and Jon get more focused in the books. And in the show, he's the only main character not to appear an entire season. He wasn't in season 5. And this is the dude who ends it on the throne. And it's like, they could have shown him training. They could have had him just be a little less cold and less of a weirdo, I think.
Yeah. And he had like 3 lines between episode 4 and 5.
Yeah.
It just seems like it comes out of nowhere. There wasn't like development on it.
Yeah, and I get it's a very Game of Thrones ending that it's a twist that he's it. But I just...
Didn't Isaac Wright also say he felt like his character is more of an observer?
Yeah, I was gonna do that. I got that quote here in a little bit too.
Yeah,
And yeah, I was gonna say, I like Bran at the beginning of the show. I thought he did a good job, even when he was Lord of Winterfell there for a little bit. He was the little Lord. He was 10 or 11, but then then he's just gone. He just kind of fell off as a character for me. I was thinking maybe he could have been scheming for the throne as well. Like he could have been playing the Game of Thrones this whole time, because he helped reveal Jon's origin, which was a major cause in Daenerys' demise, and it got everyone to start scheming against Daenerys to get Jon on the throne. And then he gave Arya the blade.
Well, no one would have known without him.
Yeah, no one would have. Well, yeah, because I don't think Sam would have connected it to be that big of a deal.
No.
Then he gave Arya the blade, which was confirmed was done for a reason. And we at the time we thought it was for Littlefinger, but it was probably obviously for the Night King.
Yeah.
It's reasonable to think he could have had a vision of himself being the king, because we've seen also just sometimes like where he said he was waiting for an old friend. He was clearly waiting for Jaime to roll up. And then there's the whole thing with the dagger. So we know that he's seen some stuff. But to clarify for everyone, he can't see the future completely.
Yeah, just glimpses.
He has green sight and he has visions, but it's never just, he can just call on that whenever he wants and see what's going to happen with everyone. But yeah, so I wanted to read that quote you were talking about, Ross, from Isaac Wright again. He says, "It's interesting how everyone is getting so worked up about the fact that Bran doesn't do anything. I mean, he's disabled, and his powers as a three-eyed raven basically don't really allow him to interfere with things that much. I think that's the very point of a three-eyed raven. The reason there is a three-eyed raven who is so weird and so calm is because their job is to observe. It's not to start interfering with things. And that's made pretty clear by the previous three-eyed raven who goes, you can't mess with the past because you see what's going to happen when you do, because there's that whole Hodor scene. Hodor." For me, when I was originally reading this, I was thinking, well, then how's he going to be a king if he can't really interfere
Make decisions
with stuff? Yeah. But I think Luke had a take on that, right, Luke?
Yeah, I just figured that he'd use Tyrion as his kind of like surrogate. So Tyrion would just, because he knows that Tyrion like learns from his mistakes, and that Tyrion is humble about it, and he knows when he's wrong, and he's been wrong before and he's admitted it. Bran knows this, and I think that's why Bran chooses him to be the hand, because he's like, hey dude, like you fucked up, I know you fucked up, but you admit it and you learn from it. And like even Jorah says to Dany in episode 3, was it? He said he learns from his mistakes. He makes mistakes, but he learns from them. Like,
that was 2.
Was it 2? Sorry. Oh yeah, it was. My bad. It was right before the battle. And yeah, he makes a mistake and he learns from it. So yeah, he knows that he's fallible, and that's what makes him human, and that's what makes him good to be hand.
Yeah, Tyrion.
That all made sense to me.
Yeah, and I was actually just thinking about this too, is that Tyrion's main fault in a lot of this was that his loyalty to his family, and he doesn't have that anymore either. He doesn't have that bias.
True. Yeah, but even in that situation, I feel like Bran is still making decisions. He's still, altering things. I like the theory, but it just doesn't resolve the conflict in the quote in his character for me.
Yeah.
I didn't think that quote made a big difference. Like, he knew he had to come. It's not like he just knew because he had to show up. Like, he probably saw it in a vision. He's like, okay, well, that means I have to be there. It's not like he's changing anything. He just knows. He's like, well, I have to be here for this, or else, the future will be fucked up. Like Zach was saying.
I got you.
He can't try to change that shit.
Yeah.
Like, that quote for me meant, like, he can't interfere with the Battle of Winterfell like that, really, or just with what happened with Daenerys and King's Landing, because it's kind of like the Doctor Strange thing. If it, if he reveals anything, then it might not happen.
Yeah, exactly.
That just makes his character so boring to me, though. Like, he just sits there. He's just a rolling encyclopedia.
So yeah, then the scene after this, or the part after this, is just Sansa just deciding to secede confuses me, because I don't understand why all the other lords are just going to let Sansa throw a fit, go independent, get their own kingdom, but they have to remain loyal. I just, especially with, the Greyjoys have always tried to go independent, and they've started 2 rebellions. Like, I could easily see Yara starting another rebellion here. Third Greyjoy rebellion in 20 years, very soon.
Yeah.
And Dorne especially too, like, they've never wanted to be a part of the 7 Kingdoms. And they easily right now have like the best army, and they have the terrain that just makes it hard to attack Dorne.
Yeah. To be fair, though, Bran will probably rule more wisely than any other ruler.
Yeah, 100%.
But Zach, Dorne is the one that wanted to be incorporated into the Seven Kingdoms. Like they voluntarily did it.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then, yeah, after this, I liked all the goodbyes with all the Starks. Brienne becoming the new Kingsguard and filling in Jaime's story. I really like that part. You know, she's writing in. She also wrote in that Tyrion's going to kill Joffrey, which is funny because then the whole book said that he doesn't exist. So everyone's just going to think that.
Yeah.
And
That didn't make sense.
Yeah, what do you guys think about that? Like, why did he say that he's not in it?
Because he was a major player. He was the hand, and he killed Tywin.
my take on it is just that, like, with history is people just write it how they want it. You know, even in real life history, people can just change stuff.
I was thinking maybe I'm off base with this and maybe this doesn't make sense, but maybe the Archmaester wrote it as a biography, maybe like first person view from Tyrion. Maybe that's just totally off base and doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't think that would be it. Because he was just so instrumental, like the Battle of
Blackwater,
Blackwater.
yeah.
Even back then, remember Varys thanked him, but no one else thanked him for that whole battle either.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up too.
Mhm.
And Tywin was like,
Yeah, that kind of parallels.
what do you want for it? You want a pat on the back or something? Like, when they really just dicked him out of it, out of all the glory.
Mhm. And then I also know, we didn't bring this up, but just Brienne was wearing a new sigil, and it was the three-eyed raven sigil. I thought that was interesting that he got his own. He got a new one. He's not using the Stark.
And everyone's going to think Tyrion killed Joffrey from Brienne. We didn't mention that.
Yeah.
Because she says Joffrey killed by Tyrion when it was actually Olenna.
No, that was already written. That was already written in the book.
Oh, I thought she wrote that.
She didn't write that in. No. There was the passages were written up till that passage. Like that was already written, and then she took it up from there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really?
Because like the page was already half filled out. Yeah.
Dang.
Oh, okay.
Okay, either way,
Like she was reading it and then finished his
Tyrion's
story.
got to rewrite that. Tyrion's got to rewrite that.
And then right after that, I think the scene that I remember was just so Grey Worm kind of is just waiting for Jon to take off too. I think that's kind of what he's doing. I think he was going to leave until Jon left. Was my take on it. And then yeah, like you were saying, Ross, they're going to Naath, and for listeners who don't know, that island is full of killer butterflies.
Yeah.
And anyone who's ever tried to settle Naath dies within a year.
Nah.
Because all the butterflies there carry it.
Yeah.
Yeah, only the Islanders are immune. I'm surprised, Missandei kind of forgot to mention that earlier.
I know. That was probably important. But the thing is, what a lot of the people that would come there to capture the people of Naath as slaves would do was they would come during the nighttime because the butterflies slept at nighttime. And if they only stayed there for a couple hours, then they could go on land and they'd be fine.
Yeah, as long as you're only there for a very short time, you could be okay. But they're about to go settle that.
Grey Worm's just going to go back and forth, nighttime, daytime.
Yeah, and then the meeting of the small council, I didn't really like the scene. I think, the best part I already said. I liked the whole Pod the Rod becoming a member of the Kingsguard, and I liked that Davos too was correcting Bronn's grammar, but a couple seasons ago he couldn't even read. It was kind of a cool little full circle thing.
Well, he corrected grammar before that too, because you know how
he did. Huh?
Stannis always corrected people when they said more than or something, or
and then he's like fewer.
Fewer.
Yeah, that's true. So that was a nice little callback.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't really like that scene overall. Just like Tyrion messing with the chairs. It's just like we could have got 30 seconds more of something else for this show as it's wrapping up. I figured that Bronn reacted like that to Drogon was probably just because he's kind of scared because he's the one who shot Drogon a couple seasons, or in season 7.
Yeah, he's seen him up close.
And then I think, I was going to ask you guys, where you guys think that Drogon is going? It kind of sounded like Sam was saying that when he was cutting him off, it sounded like he was saying to say Valyria, which so Essos.
I thought he was saying he's going east towards Volantis, but then Bronn cut him off.
Okay, it could have been.
So like obvious, I mean
Bran cut him off. Yeah.
Like Volantis is just west of Valyria, so like he has to fly through. So that's what I was thinking too, that he like was flying either to Volantis or Valyria.
I thought they just said he was flying east.
He said east towards Volantis. He was last seen. If you listen to it closely, he says he was last seen flying east towards Volantis. Nice. But you gotta play it back and listen to it.
Yeah, because Bran like cuts him off like as the V sound starts a little bit.
Yeah, which is Volantis is right directly north of Old Valyria, so maybe he's going back there. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then right after that was the cutscene with all the Starks in various parts of the world, which is like probably one of my favorite. Just that cut was my favorite parts of the whole show, just all 8 seasons, and the music was great.
Wait, that was your favorite scene of the whole show?
No, I said it was one of my favorite scenes of the whole series in general.
That was pretty sweet
because they all kind of got what they wanted, and the show, Arya heading west, Christopher Columbus style. Jon's walking through Castle Black with the free folk all around him. Just people who really appreciate him. Sansa becoming queen. I especially like Jon smiling and petting ghosts. Finally, I was with that.
Good boy pets. Good boy pets only.
Yes, good boy pets.
I love it.
Deserve all the pets, man.
He's a good doggo.
Yeah, then it comes full circle, and the whole story starts, or it ends where it started, which is north of the Wall.
Yeah.
I like that. People were mad that Jon got sent up here, but that's Bran sent him there because that's where he always wanted to be. He said he never wanted to be king of Westeros. And this looked like the happiest I'd really seen him in a truly a long time, it felt like.
Really?
And I think so.
He looked pretty happy.
Dude, that's a question I have for you guys. When he showed up, he just like looked at Tormund and like stared at him. I thought he was going to be like smiling just because, he's back in the north where he always wanted to be.
Well, I'm sure Tormund knows if he got sent up there for something, it couldn't have been something good yet. I don't know if Tormund knew.
I thought he had a little smirk maybe going, I don't know.
It just when he was walking through and then leaving, and it just, but yeah, like back in season 8, episode 4, he told Tormund that he always wished he could go north. So, and just with the free folk birthright doesn't mean anything. And like that's something, that's a concept that's tormented him his whole life, from being a bastard to then being a Targaryen, and would have continued for the rest of it, honestly, if he stayed down in Westeros.
You know what I don't get though is why didn't anyone bring up his birthright? Why didn't Sansa, Bran, Sam, Arya, or Tyrion bring up that he was Aegon Targaryen?
I was thinking, my theory maybe.
You think he just doesn't want people to know, or?
I was thinking, well, because in the end, it wouldn't have. It just, they were doing a whole different way to rule anyway. But then, maybe if they do bring that up, then it looks like to Yara, it looks like to the Dorne ally prince, it looks like to Grey Worm that maybe he killed her to take the throne for himself because he's a Targaryen, the true heir. Yeah. And that would maybe cause some sort of rebellion as it is.
Yeah, that would look bad.
It would look bad. So that's what I was thinking. Maybe
that would be very Game of Thrones, though.
It would, but then we'd have to keep the show going.
Yeah, true.
So and then just the ending with Jon was really good. I like that it ended with him, and he's free now, and he's gonna go. He didn't even listen, and he still just went north, and he's gonna be with the free folk.
Badass.
I liked it. I think that's it for this part. So okay, fan questions at VPotter1D. What was the point of sending Jon to the Wall? There are no more White Walkers, and the Wildlings are not enemies anymore. Does the Night's Watch still need to exist? We kind of answered this. Yeah, so I think Bran sent him there. He had to make peace. Grey Worm needed something since he thought he should die.
Yeah.
And Bran kind of knows that that's where Jon wanted to be. And yeah, I think there's peace for now, but stuff moves quick in this world. A generation from now, the Wildlings could be fighting the people of the south of the Wall again, or vice versa. Who really knows now that there's an independent kingdom in between all that now, too? Who knows?
Wall's kind of messed up now, though.
Wall's kind of fucked up, but they'd have to rebuild that, too.
Yeah, I don't think there's a need for the Night's Watch anymore. Yeah, that was kind of some trickery by Bran. Yeah. He's probably thinking, Jon's already going to want to go up here anyway, so we'll just give this to Grey Worm and make him happy.
I think it makes sense that the Night's Watch is still there. Like, I'm on the same boat as you, Zach. They kind of need to be there for the future, just in case the Northerners and Wildlings have conflict again. And also, it's hard for traditions to die in Westeros. It took 300 years for them to start electing a king, and that's just the lords and ladies. So seeing the Night's Watch just be dissolved, I'm not mad it's still around.
Yeah.
In the current, you guys are right. In the current state, with Jon as the leader of not really leader, but they're all going to follow him. So yeah, he's pretty much the leader of the free folk, and then Sansa is the leader of the Northmen. No, there's not really any short-term problems going to come up, but one of them could get assassinated or die eventually. Jon could just die of the cold up north, just randomly. Things could go different. Things could go down. So
okay, next one at Rodri Colby. Is the green eyes theory just thrown out the window?
Seems like it. What do you guys think? What's your take?
I mean, in the books, like Littlefinger has gray green eyes. It's not perfect. I'd say he had blue in the show. But also Melisandre she's wrong a lot about prophecies. And on top of everything, Arya did kill a shit ton of Freys. Like there could have been one of them that had green eyes.
Well, yeah, but I think the eyes they're talking about were of significant people.
Yeah, so they're meaning like Cersei or Daenerys.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, when she said that quote, like when she said, "You'll shut all these eyes forever," the green eyes, blue eyes, brown eyes, that was even before they knew the ending. So I don't think it's not like that was like a prophecy in stone prophecy.
The problem with me for that is just, why would they bring back that quote to give a little foreshadowing for her killing the Night King, but then only the parts of it that are convenient to the plot were brought back, but then they just ignore it for the rest. That was kind of my problem with it.
Yeah.
At Lance3333. So Dario, any thoughts about what's happening in Essos right now?
Man.
I feel like Dario's probably got a lot to deal with in Marine with just how hostile it's always been over there. And now Daenerys is dead.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know if he's gonna rule. I feel like he might even just leave because since she's not there to run anything, and who knows, maybe he hears word of what happens and then he tries to go and kill Jon Snow. Like that would be sick. That'd be a cool little spin of the story.
Yeah, we'll never get to see it though.
Yeah, we'll never know. I mean, we always know. He always did say that Daenerys is a conqueror, not a ruler, and like this is what happens to conquerors. So maybe he just thinks she could have died. It could happen.
Damn, I had so many theories on him coming back and helping Daenerys, and then he just never got shown.
Yeah,
ever again in the show. Kind of sucks. Essos got dogged a little bit this season.
Yeah, Essos wasn't even a thing this season, but it was all about the throne. At ASAP Trill, thoughts on the Drogon cliffhanger with Bran and the small council? I think he means just when Bran said he can take care of that, just finding out where Drogon is.
Is he asking if Bran can warg into Drogon?
I think he's asking what we think.
Yeah.
I think he was gonna warg into Ravens and find him, not warg into Drogon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could. Maybe he could.
Possibly.
It's possible, but we still don't know the extent of his Wi-Fi. So
Yeah. Also a solid excuse to just get out of that meeting.
yeah. He's like, all right, I'm dipping. I'm straight up becoming Robert Baratheon 2.0.
Yeah.
For real.
Going to look for Drogon. Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't know how far he could reach, and like Drogon's probably deep at this point. I feel like
Mhm.
it would probably be the Ravens, but
Yeah.
could
What
be.
if right after Bran becomes king, he just starts like getting whores to come in and just starts banging whores and drinking a shit ton of wine?
Who, Bran?
Yeah.
He just pulls a complete Robert Baratheon on
180.
everyone.
Yeah. He's like, fuck it. I'm king now.
Can he even do that? Like Sansa
gonna
kind of
say.
roasted him.
Yeah, she did. I mean, he could do that. He's in power now, so.
At Bigfoot798, what do you think is beyond the maps? I assume meaning west.
Yeah.
What is west? Go
I
for
have
it,
a
Ross.
theory on this, but well, we still don't know. Obviously, in our universe, in our physics, worlds have to be spherical.
George R. R. Martin's
But-
is spherical too. He said.
Okay, for
Yeah.
100%. Okay, yeah. Well, then I would say the farthest. So the farthest thing to the east of Westeros is there's Ashai, and beyond that there's the Saffron Straits, which separate the east edge of Essos basically from Olthos. Or Olthos might even be connected, but Olthos is basically the far, far east. Very little is said about it.
Mhm.
George R. R. Martin basically uses it as an allegory for here lies dragons. This is just beyond even the knowledge of any Westeros. This is the east of east.
Yeah, they don't really know what's there, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think if you go west of Westeros, you're probably going to get to Olthos or Sithorios. And the reason no one's been back is because both of those places are incredibly dangerous. They're both densely filled with jungles.
Mhm.
They have the people that live there's a lot of cannibalistic tribes. There's very dangerous creatures like wyverns, lizard men, shit like crazy shit like that.
And that's south of. Is that south of Essos?
Yeah, Sothros is south.
Yeah, Sithorios is
Yeah, that's right.
Sothorios, my bad.
Sithorios. And then Olthos is kind of
It's east of the mountain.
undetermined. Yeah, it's east or south, and it's undetermined if it's a completely its own island or if it's connected at any point to Essos or what. Either they're gonna hit those places or there's another continent in between that. Because
Yeah.
just like Christopher Columbus, when he came over, he was expecting to get to the Far East. He was expecting to get to India, and he hit America, and he thought it was India. So maybe she'll hit a new continent and she'll be like, oh, this is Olthos, this is Sithorios.
Yeah, because everyone who's ever tried to sail the Sunset Sea dies in the book
Yeah.
lore or ends up returning without much of an answer. I think there was one girl named was Elisa Farman, and she lived during the reign of Jaehaerys Targaryen the First, and she sailed southwest.
Or Jaehaerys.
Jaehaerys, sorry, yeah. Jaehaerys. And she sailed southwest with 3 ships and lost like 2 in a storm pretty quickly before she eventually discovered a couple islands, some exotic islands, and she named them after Aegon, Rhaenys, and Visenya.
Yeah.
And she then like sailed west from there and was never seen again. And like many years later, her ship was spotted somewhere in Ashai. So that's Essos if she did make it. But yeah, I mean, like no one really makes it.
Where did she go in Essos?
She went to Ashai.
Oh, Ashai, yeah.
Ashai, sorry.
Ashai.
Did I say? I thought I said Ashai at first, actually. Ashai.
You might have, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What was that girl's name? Because there was one Targaryen that explored Sithorios on her dragon too. So was that the same person?
No, this was a girl who no.
Wasn't a dragon rider.
Farman. Elisa Farman.
Yeah.
Farman.
Yeah, one of the Targaryens hopped on the back of their dragon because, I mean, if you had a dragon, you could explore so much shit. So,
True.
and she just went to Sithorios and she flew over the jungles. And apparently Sithorios is possibly bigger than Essos, according to her, because she flew down for days until she got past a jungle. And the whole like northern tip of Sithorios is a massive jungle. And then below that, there's these mountains. And there's a huge, like, just vast desert. And at that point, she just turned around because she didn't want to get lost in the desert. And it took her, like, months to do all that exploring. So Sithorios, in her accounts, is most likely bigger than Essos or of similar size.
Yeah, and she was on a dragon, so she was covering some ground.
Yeah, she was hauling.
Was Jon's identity reveal ultimately a waste of time for us?
I didn't think so.
No, I didn't think so either. I mean, like his lineage helps drive Daenerys, you know, to burn King's Landing, and paranoia and all that. And like we said, it caused that whole plot against Daenerys.
Yeah.
With there being the alternative of Jon.
I talked about this with you quite a bit the other day, Zach, and I think what I came to realize was his identity reveal does feel like a little bit of a letdown because his character, or for me anyways, his character never really gets a resolution with that information, but it does play a pivotal role in the story itself. So it's not a waste of time, but it does feel like a letdown to me because his character never really came full circle with that knowledge.
Yeah, but he just never wanted the throne anyway. And if he didn't know his lineage, then he would still be with Daenerys, probably likely.
Just because his name was Aegon Targaryen doesn't mean like he has to take the throne. Jon he's a dude from the north. He's a Northman. Like even though he is Aegon Targaryen, he grew up in the north. That's where he belongs. And like him as a character is not his name. You know?
Yeah, it's Jon. His character is Jon Snow more than Aegon.
Yeah, exactly.
But also at the same time, he could own up to being Aegon, but still not take the throne. He can refute the throne. It goes both ways, I feel.
At Wankas, what was the point of Azor Ahai? You got a take on this, Ross?
What was the point of Azor Ahai? I know you have a take on it.
Yeah, well, Azor Ahai isn't in the show. That's a book thing.
It's very similar to The Prince Who Is Promised, which is in the show, though. Mm-hmm. And The Prince Who Is Promised and Azor Ahai are actually prophecies from Essos. What's interesting is there was another long night that happened around the same time as the original Long Night in Westeros that also happened in Essos. So the Yeti Empire, which is, if you know where Karth is, which is where Daenerys goes in season 2, she goes to the House of the Undying. Basically, the Yeti Empire is east and a little northish from Karth and across the Red Waste. And from there, basically, the mythology is a little out there, but they said demons, like white demons, maybe not ice demons, came across the Grey Waste and they erected these huge structures called the Five Forts, which is also analogous to the Wall in Westeros, to keep out the invading force of demons, which was what they called them. So Azor Ahai could have been an Essos, somebody from Essos.
Yeah, it could have been something different.
Mm-hmm. That might be why it's irrelevant to Westeros, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think the prince that was promised could have borrowed some just elements for the show. And for me, I think it could have been done. I think that the Lord of Light brought Jon back for a reason. I've said it on a couple past pods. And I was thinking maybe he was supposed to die for someone or if he had to kill someone. I think him killing Daenerys, she was the darkness in the end. It wasn't the Night King. It was her and what she could have done to Westeros.
Yeah.
And him killing her and plunging his sword is the same way that Azor Ahai plunged. He had to put a sword through his lover's heart. And so I think in a way it could have done it. And it's not perfect. And like George R. R. Martin has said, he's always said prophecies are a double-edged sword and they can add depth and interest to a story, but you don't always want to take them too literal or too easy. So it's not perfect, but I think it could work in that. I think it works in that way. I do think that Jon was brought back for a reason, and I think that fulfills it, in my opinion.
I actually just came up with a theory when I was thinking about this. So the only people that push the prince that was promised prophecy in the show are from Essos, like Melisandre, and the only other person or one of the only other people that knows about it as well is Missandei, who's also from Essos. So maybe the people of Essos
and Beric, right?
Beric is told about it from Thoros.
Yeah, it's true.
So in the end, he learned that from Thoros, and then he adopted that ideology. So I'm thinking maybe Azor Ahai and the prince that was promised is exclusive to Essos, and all these Essos people that are coming over are trying to put that character who is from Essos into the situation in Westerosi because it seems very similar, and there's this impending doom coming, and it really ties in with a lot of the prophecies about what happened in Essos as well. So that could be a reason to why they were misinterpreting the prophecy and why it never came true, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I did remember the quote that Beric did say to Jon. It was when they were north of the wall, he said, or beyond the wall, and he said, "You and I won't find much joy while we're here, but we can keep others alive. We can defend those who can't defend themselves." And I think Jon said that he was the guardian of the realm. He said something like that back to him.
Yeah, shields that guard the realm of men.
Yeah. So I think it fits for me.
Luke, you got a take on that?
Yeah, Azor Ahai's from the books, and people are like trying to project. I don't know. I didn't think of the Essos shit like you guys did, but I just figured like people are trying to project like the books prophecies onto the show when they don't. In the show, they don't really lay out him forging the sword and then putting it through his lover's heart. They're trying to just fit the show to the books prophecy. I don't know. I just never took it like so literally.
Well, they do talk about. Yeah,
she does talk about Lightbringer.
Yeah, they talk about some of that stuff.
They don't talk about how he forged it and stuff.
Well, he did pull it from the maiden, didn't he? When they were burning the 7.
I think she just says that he will pull it. He'll pull Lightbringer into the world or something like that is what she says.
But she doesn't go like deep, like she doesn't lay it out for people, you know.
Yeah, you're talking about in this first episode of season 2.
Yeah. When they're burning the idols, and then he pulls the sword out of the statue. Doesn't he pull the sword out of the mother idol? Or I don't know. I could be pulling that out of my ass.
I can't remember that part exactly.
Yeah. Don't hold me to that.
Yeah, it's just like with prophecies, they don't always work out. Like everyone really wanted the whole Tyrion was going to kill his sister thing, or Jaime was going to kill his sister, and that line wasn't even mentioned in the show. They left that out.
The Valonqar line,
Yeah, they left out that specific part. Like everything else was mentioned, but that line.
Man, there's a lot of prophecies they left out. Like the House Leon dying was way more in depth in the books too. So just a lot of the prophecies they cut.
Okay, next question. At Fridge Alarm, how will House Targaryen survive if Jon is not allowed to have a woman?
It won't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he probably will. I doubt he really follows those rules. He's a free man now. He's with the free folk. He's up north.
Yeah, he's a free man. I was thinking he may not even want a kid just due to all the problems his lineage has caused. That he would just move on from it. Mm-hmm. But it could still go on. I don't know if you would give him. Would you think you would give him the Targaryen name? He didn't even take it for himself.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough question. His kid, would he name his kid a Targaryen, or would he name them a Stark or a Snow?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a question.
It's not like his kid would be recorded. Like no one would know that he has a kid, or the kid's not. Yeah,
you just raise him probably as a free folk. Actually, don't the free folk give themselves names too?
Yeah, so the free folk have this kind of weird thing they do with their names. Is they believe it's bad luck and that the child could die if they name it before it's 2, just because that's how harsh their world is up there. They don't
before it's 2 years old.
Yeah, before the baby's 2 years old. So they like think about it. They probably don't want to get attached to the child before, because they lose so many babies up there. It's just a really harsh environment.
Yeah, it's not a good place to live.
Yeah.
Moving on. At Slight Litness, do you think Jon is the new king beyond the wall like Mance Rayder?
No way.
Not in the same sense as Mance, but he's definitely a leader, and people definitely love to follow him. So he will be a natural leader, but he's not gonna
be like naming himself king or anything.
He's kind of a legend among the free folk because he came back from the dead. Also,
he is. Yeah. And a lot of his greatest accomplishments were done north of the wall or at the wall. So.
Yeah, and the free folk don't really take kings unless it's for like a unified reason in history.
Yeah,
like going south because the White Walkers are killing everyone, or just usually when they're trying to go south and take land. It's usually when they name a king beyond the wall.
Solid point.
At Surla Flair, are y'all satisfied with the ending, or do you think we deserved more episodes so it didn't feel so rushed?
What do you guys think?
Ross you've already gave your take on this, right? Luke, what'd you?
I feel like 10 episodes would have been nice.
No.
Are you saying 10 just this season?
Yeah.
Okay.
Would have made it feel a lot less rushed. Or even 8 would be a lot better.
Yeah. And even Zach, you've said this multiple times. You said, "Oh, this movie could have been, or sorry, this show could have been split into 2 shows." They should have just done that. They should have made it 10, just like every other season. And Daenerys's build up into the Mad Queen would have felt more natural, and maybe we would have been able to get more build up for, or just like a bit more build up for Bran becoming the king, not just out of nowhere, like 0 to 100 he's the king. So yeah, I think we did deserve more episodes. We should have gotten more. It would have been smoother.
Yeah, I think maybe last season they could have added one more.
Yeah,
just in some of those parts, or spread out some more minutes among that season.
Around the beyond the wall part.
Yeah, maybe. And then this season, I think that like episode 4, I think that could have been split up into 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And this one.
And this last one, I was 45 minutes in, and if they cut the episode right there where he stabs Daenerys, I was like, that could have been an episode. Well, and then it's just more establishment after that, like really figuring out what they're going to do, like with Tyrion's trial at the end and with Jon. They could have just made that a little longer, or you just distribute more minutes on some.
They could have split up all the 80-minute episodes into like 50 to 60-minute episodes, you know.
Yeah, I think like what Ross said, I would have been good with 8 this season.
Yeah,
just if they had just done like every other one, 10.
Yeah, just do 10. I don't know why.
That made sense.
I'm thinking about it right now, and I think 10 would be good, because split up episode 4 and episode 6 into 2 episodes, and then split up episode 3, or just give 2 more episodes of development in the whole arc between episode 1 and 3. And that would have made, if they would have given 2 more episodes to that whole thing, it would have given them more time to set up the Night King's death. It would have given them more time to make the heroes and the living fail a little bit more. Well, they
could have showed that the armies were beating them back more. Like the first episode of if you split episode 3 would have been them like holding them back, and then the second episode could have been like everything just getting breached and run over, and made the Night King, you know, just build up the Night King more, because they defeated him in an episode.
I think people wouldn't have had as many problems as they did if they would have split that up, I think.
Yeah.
I was okay with the first 3. I think that if you ever needed, in my opinion, if they just needed to distribute more, it would have been after episode 3 going to the end.
Yeah.
For me, it would have started at episode 3. At the first 80-minute episode, they should have been two episodes.
Also, another episode to maybe like bridge the gap between 3 and 4, because the tone changed so much between 3 and 4. It felt like it was a new season, honestly.
But yeah, I mean that's what I was saying too. After 3.
Yeah.
Me.
Yeah.
At Mocon Twitch, do you know what's going on with Inside the Episode? I can't believe they've done this to us. Yeah.
I felt the same way. I was
kind of surprised they didn't talk after that, but
I was waiting for it.
I feel like that's probably also the hook that they're going to do with their 2-hour. They're doing a 2-hour documentary this next Sunday for all listeners.
Yeah.
And they'll probably do their interviews during that. And it's funny because, D&D have done no post interviews after this episode with anyone. They haven't talked about the finale at all. They're out just getting drunk on some island right now with their wives. And they had their phone shut off during the final and everything. Yeah, so I think that is why they did that personally.
That was kind of my take on that too, as well, Zach, because they were saving it for the behind the scenes doc.
Mm-hmm. Okay, at Kyle Cohen 33, can you guys go over everyone in the meeting where Bran becomes king? So let's start with the side with Sam. So there's Sam.
Right.
There's Edmure Tully's to the right of him, and there's someone in between. And like I assume that is the current leader of Highgarden before Bronn takes it over. That's kind of what I was thinking, just with the location.
You think so?
Just thinking just with the location.
Or he could just be a Lord of the Reach. There's other lords. There's like the Red Winds or Red Wines.
Well, I was thinking because Sam's house is loyal to Highgarden, so that he would sit by them, unless he was representing the Maesters. But
yeah, I was gonna say he's more like representing the Maesters. I don't think he's
maybe it could be it could be either way. It could be one of those for sure. Yeah. And then you got Arya, Bran, Sansa. To the right of that is Brienne, Davos, Gendry. And I assume that must be someone loyal to House Baratheon to the right
of the
of
Bannerman. One of
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
bannermen.
Someone probably helping, advising him since he's only been a fucking lord for a month.
He's a Storm's End boy.
Yeah. On top of everything, it's just like, how do you like? Did he get some papers before Daenerys died
I know.
to lock him in? To lock him in to be the heir? Because she's dead now.
Imagine how that conversation goes. He just shows up at Storm's End and he's like, "Yeah, that lady that burned down all of King's Landing made me king, so I'm your king now."
Yeah, I'm Robert's bastard, by the way, too. Just for that.
Even when she named him, I was like, well, how's that going to go over? Because it doesn't mean they have to accept him as their king. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, if she doesn't win.
It seemed kind of a little random.
And then to the right of that, there's Yara, there's the Prince of Dorne, and then to the left of Yara, it looks like this guy's wearing some sort of northern just his
Garb.
fit. Looks very northern like. So he's probably maybe who is loyal or who takes over the Dreadfort now, or someone else up there. Maybe whoever takes the Karstark's place.
I think he's a Bolton, maybe.
Yeah, or whoever takes over that, because isn't House Bolton extinct?
Not confirmed, but their main line is extinct. There could still be others, like uncles and stuff.
honestly, maybe he looks like an older Howland Reed, maybe.
He looks kind of like a Mormont a little bit, like a Bear Island. He could be a Bear Island person, but they're not a very big house, so.
If you pull up a picture of Howland Reed, he kind of looks like an older Howland Reed.
Well, House
A little
Mormont
bit.
is extinct, right? Aren't they for sure gone?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
They're
they
extinct.
Gonzo.
He could be somebody that was just on that island, though. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's true. So, but he's definitely someone northern.
Yeah.
And then you got Robin Arryn, and then
Jan's John Royce.
yeah, and who do you think's to the right of this though? Probably another northern man, right?
Or Vale. Somebody from the
Yeah.
Vale.
Yeah,
Because those are all people from the Vale.
Yeah.
Like Jan's Ron's Royce family is from the Vale, and so is and then Robert and Aaron is obviously from the Vale. So I would assume that guy's either a Riverlands person or a Vale person.
yeah, unnamed. And then you got
Yeah.
obviously Tyrion and Grey Worm.
Yeah.
Okay, next at Taylor TG. Why isn't Brienne the commander of Sansa's Queensguard? And I have a take on this. I don't think that Sansa has a Queensguard because that's something that the Targaryens invented. It'd only be relevant down in the Six Kingdoms. Like the Starks never had a Queensguard or a Kingsguard before they were a part of the Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah.
Up there, she would just be a bodyguard, pretty much. She wouldn't be a Queensguard.
I don't think she would be a Queensguard, but I do agree that she probably should still be guard for Sansa, considering she swore an oath, and her character for many seasons has been all about that oath, about protecting the Stark daughters. Obviously, Arya she's a badass, but Sansa, she's always been about protecting her, and she's always been about her oath. So I'm confused why she's like, Kingsguard and King's Landing sounds like a good job. I'll just take it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think maybe Sansa sent her down there knowing that Bran needs more protection
Yeah.
rather than her up there.
That's what I was thinking.
That's speculation, though. Something we don't know.
We don't know for
Sure.
sure, yeah.
Yeah, she could have released him from her oath, and
From her. Yeah.
Because that's a big honor. I mean, imagine a woman being a Kingsguard. That probably has never happened.
Yeah.
Well, besides her when she was for Renly, but before that, definitely not.
Nope.
Yeah, and she has someone that she can trust down in on everything too. Sansa has someone she can trust down there.
What's crazy is the person that invented the Kingsguard was a woman, but there's never been a Kingsguard woman until Brienne.
Yeah,
I thought, are you sure?
Yeah. Aegon's sister.
But he created the Kingsguard because he almost got assassinated. It was his idea.
No, his sister did. After he almost got assassinated, his sister did. Rhaenys.
Oh, all right. Maybe I didn't know that.
I read it in Fire and Blood.
That was wrong.
okay.
All good.
At Joanne FF93, is it plausible that Bran got a bit of his humanity back just for the sake of the kingdom?
Kind of seemed like he was less, because he was really emotionless. But he got his little jokes in. So
I don't think it didn't seem like he got his humanity back. He just talked more than he had in the past 3 episodes. So
yeah.
he was still emotionless. And
But he also said stuff like, "Why do you think I came all this way?" And then he gave a little smirk,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then when he said, "I'm sure it will," when they said it'll get better, he said, "I'm sure it will," and he smiled a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
I didn't think he smiled there. I don't know. I didn't see that.
He smiled a little bit. He gave a little sexy little smile, little Bran wheelchair smile.
You just called Bran smile sexy, sir.
Yeah, bro.
Fucking guy.
He's a fox.
Okay, at Gordy B, why are people having such a hard time understanding Dany's character arc when everything was laid in front of us to expect this being a very big possibility? I mean, my take on it is just Yeah, I think if you just flat out deny it, you need to get over that a little bit. But then there's people who say it's rushed a little.
Yeah.
And I think that's fair to think that. But I mean, if you just look back and you rewatch it now, you'll see that she does have signs, and she's very impulsive with some of the stuff she does. There's just like a lot of really bad things that did happen to her over her life that it makes sense this happened. Like she was basically abused by her brother and sold, raped, then had her husband and child die. If you just, there's like been times too where she said stuff and you're like, oh, it's kind of sketchy. Like when she was saying, just when like Meereen was under attack, the first thing she said to Tyrion was that she wanted to turn all their cities to dust. And I was like, okay, like that's pretty
all right. That's not really helping anything.
Yeah, and then Tyrion had to calm her down. And that's just the thing, is she always had more advisors to really check her impulses. But then there's been other points too where she was like maybe a little impulsive with the Tarleys when Tyrion suggested not to kill them. When she rounded up, okay, yeah, they're not innocent, the slavers, but the masters of Meereen. But she rounded up 163, and it was just the first 163. So there could have been people in that group who weren't even involved. She could have done a little more.
And there was
innocent people. Well, they're not. They're still slavers, but
they're still slavers.
No, but there were slavers that
were against the crucifixion.
Openly spoke out against. Yeah, they openly spoke out against.
Yeah,
a trial would have been more level-headed.
Yeah, trial 100%. Yes, I mean, but those are just things that we all look past because we're just like, well, they were all slavers, they were bad people. But yeah, this is the first time then she goes and just burns everything. And I just think at this point she just wasn't going to stop at what she was going to do. Whatever she wanted to get the throne. She was that close to it, and she'd lost all of her advisors. The last thing Missandei says to her is Dracarys. She's telling her to do it. Just she was going through a lot. So for me, I think it makes sense for me. Yeah, and then I also, one other part too is just in all those cities there was people who wanted to be liberated. They wanted to be freed when she was going around Essos, and then that just wasn't the case in Westeros. They didn't really want to be freed, or they didn't really need it like that. That was one of the things she was really relying on too, and it didn't happen. So then she's like, oh, I'm just gonna win with fear. At Jesse's awesome. Why didn't Arya steal or use any faces this season, Ross?
Yeah, that was a problem for me. They used some parts of her training, but she spent 2 seasons learning these faceless man techniques, learning how to steal faces, and then it completely gets ignored in season 8. It's not prevalent at all. And in season 7, it's not. She doesn't use it too much either. She uses it at the beginning to kill the Freys, but then
not too much. She wipes out a whole house.
Yeah, that's what I just said. I just said episode 1, she uses it, and then from there on, she doesn't use her faces at all for the rest of the series.
Oh, I know. I just thought you were a little casual with it. I was like, nah, she fucking killed like 50 Freys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But that was the only time, yeah.
It could have came in handy so many times. I just don't know why she didn't. And it would have been a good payoff for her training as well. That's my take on it.
The whole first half of season 8, though, there was no, she wouldn't have used it for anything anyway. And then the only person she would have used it on after that would be Cersei. Mm-hmm. And
or Daenerys.
Yeah, okay, yeah, true. Or Daenerys. But we all knew Jon was going to have to kill Daenerys in the end anyway. And obviously she just chose not to kill Cersei. I wasn't pissed about it.
Well, no, we were all making speculations. We thought maybe it could have been Arya.
Maybe. I think if it was there were the only 2 options, was Arya or Jon, but also Daenerys was protected by Drogon, and I think the only one who could have got by that was Jon. Yeah. And I'm with Luke. I think the best time would have been to kill Cersei, but she didn't get close enough because Daenerys lit the whole place up. I mean, I was cool with it because we saw her kill the Night King, and I don't know if they would have let her get the Night King and Cersei, or the Night King and Daenerys, because then that makes her kind of the main character of this whole thing.
Yeah.
And people would have been even more pissed about Jon. And
they've been so pissed.
Yeah, and I think that was actually the one thing Macy said was her one regret, was just that she didn't get to wear. She wanted to do the theory where she was wearing Jaime's face and she kills Cersei, and she would have been totally okay with her dying with just rocks falling on her after she kills Cersei or something like that. She would have been at peace with that.
Luke, what you were saying, I had no problem with it not being in the beginning of season 8. I wasn't expecting her to use that power specifically in any of the White Walker stuff, because it didn't, it just didn't really make sense for that situation. But I was really expecting her to use it in all of the King's Landing plot and all of that. She could have killed Grey Worm after episode 5, and she could have used his face to get to Daenerys, or she could have just killed any Dothraki or Unsullied soldier, because the Unsullied soldiers were right up next to Daenerys when she's giving that speech. She could have positioned herself next to Daenerys and then just stabbed her with his spear and then try to disappear into the crowd or something. Yeah, she probably would have died.
Yeah, she would have been, any way she does it, she's dying.
I was just gonna say, random Dothraki soldiers don't just like walk up to her though. She has her Unsullied guard her, not the Dothraki.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have really worked. Is what
I was saying. Unsullied though, I think could work, and I would have been fine with her character dying. I thought that would have been almost preferable for me, anyways, just because I wanted more characters to not get that happy ending.
Okay, at Lord Keiko, where is Gilly and her baby since Sam turned Grand Maester?
Yeah, I was talking about that too. I don't know.
They're probably just
chilling.
Horn Hill,
probably in King's Landing.
King's Landing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, he probably took him with him.
Yeah, I guess the whole rule, like you were saying at one point, Luke or Ross, that the rules might be different to allow him to have a family, because he's not supposed to have a family or a kid.
Yeah.
And this new order may be changing things.
Yeah, it does kind of seem like the old world is being forgotten, and the new world is the new order, like you were saying, could be changing some of these things that maybe they think are outdated.
Yeah. At Diane and Nicole, I thought whoever kills a king or queen takes the throne for them, like Euron did to his brother and Daenerys did to Cersei. Why would Jon be held prisoner then? These are different, because Daenerys, she became ruler by conquest, and that's the same way like Robert Baratheon became king, and Jon is a queen slayer. I think if he was, like we were saying, if he was made king, then the Unsullied, Dornish, the Ironborn, they all would have started another war. And the Ironborn are different. Like they pick their leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's not necessarily about who kills the previous king or queen. It's more about who has power and who has more soldiers when the king or queen dies.
Yeah, and Daenerys had control of the city.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she had a dragon, so.
That too. Yeah.
At Chado K, I could be wrong here, but season 1, episode 1, does Ned not have a keen interest in grooming Bran specifically? He watches his bow and arrow shooting, then takes him to witness an execution. He was the main focus of the Stark children that episode. Were they trying to tell us something then?
I would say, I do have to agree, he was the main focus, but I think the reason they did that was to set up his character falling out of the window, not for him being king, because they didn't even know who was going to be king at this point. They didn't even know a lot of the end plot, because they weren't told by George R. R. Martin until a later point. So to answer, no, I don't think that it was foreshadowing for him to be king, just to set up his character falling out of the window.
Yeah, and it seemed like it was just him coming of age. Like, he was he went to see his first execution. He's still young. It seems like they're starting to turn him into a man.
Yeah, I just thought it was a good way to introduce all the Starks from his perspective, I guess. And he's the first character in the book, the first point of view character.
Perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides the prologue with the Night's Watch. At NBA Guru 3, do you think George R. R. Martin will change the book's ending after seeing the public reaction to the show's ending?
No. Yeah, go for it, Zach.
Just take that.
Yeah, nah, he's not gonna. He's been saying forever he doesn't care about fan opinions, and he won't change due to outrage. And whatever ending he's had cooked up, it's gonna be the same. Just the details along the way will be different, because that's always something he's developing. He even said yesterday that his book may end up being, his next 2 books combined may end up being 3,000 pages. So that's a lot to flesh out everything. And that's a lot different than you get with the medium with TV. You only got a certain amount of hours on television. So yeah, I mean, people who weren't satisfied with like the outcome, like if you weren't satisfied with Bran being king, with Daenerys dying and burning everything, Jon not being king, like those things are very likely going to 100% happen in his book still.
Yeah. I agree with that perspective too, because like he said, if you change the ending because people are predicting it, then you're going to undercut all this foreshadowing and all of the buildup from the previous sections of the story. And there's going to be a disconnect, because it just seems like you're just trying to subvert people's expectations rather than just finish your story and just tell it, So.
And this was something that he decided back in like 1998 when people were even guessing about Jon's origin. He would just decided that, nope, not going to change anything.
Yeah.
Okay. At Eduardo RG, what spinoff would you most like to see among the 4 siblings?
Ooh. I'm going with Arya.
Same. That was going to be mine for sure.
Yeah.
I want to know what's west of Westeros, bro.
Same.
Yeah, pretty much any of them besides Sansa's for me. I think Bran could be cool if we saw it from Bran. If we saw Bran's perspective, like what he's thinking more and just how he's looking in the past, like that could be all really cool. I don't know what's gonna happen with Jon. I feel like the north of the wall is probably the most peaceful it's ever been up there right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could go up to the land of always winter and mess around up there. I don't know.
Yeah, and go check out where the White Walkers were actually from.
Yeah, go into their castle because they do have that whole fortress and everything.
They do. Yeah.
Go check it out.
That's what I would do if I was him.
Yeah, just be like walking around in there.
Yeah, and Arya's story could be crazy too. That one has the most room.
Oh, and also in the Sunset Sea, which is the sea west of Westeros.
Yeah,
there are krakens, there are sea serpents, there's all sort like mermaids, all sorts of things like that, which would be really cool. It would be kind of like Jason and the Argonauts a little bit, just a sea voyage with these. Probably she has badasses on that boat.
Yeah,
just going up against all these creatures.
Yeah, there's a reason why no one's come back. Yeah, because there's shit out there.
Yeah.
At Justin, in your opinions, what are the 3 prequels going to be based on? Well, we know Jane Goldman's series, that's going to be based on the Age of Heroes, which starts 10,000 years prior with the Pact, which is when the Children of the Forest and the First Men allied. The major historical event that happens during the Age of Heroes is the Long Night and the war against the White Walkers. During all this, too, there's Bran the Builder. He builds the wall. He builds Winterfell. And that era lasts around 4,000 years, I think, and right up until when the Andals invade. And so there's a lot of stuff you can do during that. And even during this time is when the Valyria Freehold pops up in Essos. And that's when they first tame dragons and start conquering Essos. So you could do both sides again. It's a lot more stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was just reading about Bran the Builder today in Clash of Kings, too. And apparently, when he was a little boy, he helped build Storm's End as well.
Damn. What a legend.
Yeah. Dude was a badass.
And I think if the other 2 actually come to fruition, it's really going to depend on how this pilot does with HBO. Because they're filming the pilot, by the way, next month in June. They're filming all that. George R. R. Martin has hinted that one of them will have to do with Fire and Blood, which is his book on Targaryen history. And I think we've said that on the past a couple pods ago what we'd want. I would like to see Dance of the Dragons era, which is the Targaryen Civil War. I think that'd be really sick.
Yeah.
What would yours be, Luke?
I don't know. I know I would want one of them to be about like Aegon's conquest and how he was able to get. Well, he only got the 6 kingdoms, and I think there's like a lot of story to be seen in him and his conflict with Dorne, because he actually wasn't even able to conquer Dorne when he came over and tried to conquer all of Westeros. So I think there's a cool conflict that can be explored there. And then his attempted assassination, there's a story there too. So I think the creation of the Iron Throne or I guess of King's Landing and of one king to rule all of Westeros, I think that would be a cool series, Ross.
Uniting the kingdoms.
Yeah.
So for mine, I know he said look for clues in Fire and Blood, but that could really mean anything about the Targaryens. So for the second one, I want it to be about the rise and doom of Valyria. I think that would be really cool. So obviously we know the doom happens, but besides that, we don't know too many major plot points. So there's still a lot of room for storytelling there. I think that would be really cool. And to see all these families of dragon riders and seeing their conquest, that would be sick. Just seeing dragon armies just conquesting all of Essos, that would be badass. Because they fought the Giscari Empire a lot throughout the years. They had multiple major wars against them. And then for my third one, I would just kind of want to see, just because this probably won't happen, but just because I really want to know more about these places, I would want to see a story of a character who lives in the Far East. So I would want to see more story about Ashai, the Yeti Empire, the Summer Islands, Naath, all that place, the Grey Waste, the Bone Mountains. There's so much out there that's just, like, I want to know more about it. It just everything out there sounds so cool. Sithorios, Olthos. Saffron Straits, all of that. Yeah, that would be what I want for the third one.
At Zibran11, what would have been your alternate or ideal ending, Ross?
Well, I'm not getting paid to rewrite this show, so I would honestly change a lot of things about the whole season, but I'm not going to take the time to think out a script for it. But just the last episode,
Jon getting burned.
I mean, this is, yeah, I think it would have been funny. This is what Amanda told me. I thought it was kind of cool. If Drogon, after he flew away with Daenerys, he was just angry. Maybe he went to mourn her. When Jon and Arya and Bran and Sansa are all lined up on the docks, for Drogon to just come back in out of nowhere and just roast all of them. Just roast the entire Stark family and then fly off. That would have been insanely controversial, but also really funny.
That would have sucked.
I know that would have sucked. Like, I would be pretty pissed. I'd be like, what? He just comes in and kills all of them and leaves?
Yeah.
But I thought it was pretty funny.
I would definitely have Jon get roasted, because then he comes back, kills the darkness, and then he's sacrificing himself. I think that makes sense. That's a good death.
Yeah.
And then probably, maybe Arya killing Cersei too. I wish I did kind of honestly. I know I was saying like it made sense that she didn't use her faces, but I did want to see her use like her faces again. That would have been very cool.
Against Cersei,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah. Against Cersei, sorry.
I mean, I also feel like I already stated a lot of the stuff that I wish would have happened.
Yeah,
I wish Drogon would have attacked Jon and Jon would have killed Drogon, and then I also wish Grey Worm would have attacked Jon. Yeah, there's a lot of things I'd change. Go ahead, Zach.
At PDK97, what happened to Varys' letters? Luke?
Shit, dude. I don't know. Like, this is such a fucking... Maybe this is just a plot hole. Like, and I didn't even really think about this part until pretty much now when we had seen this in my notes. He obviously didn't send him to... Yeah, he didn't send him to Yara or the King of Dorne, which is what we speculate, or at least I had said. I figured that that's where he at least sent them. I have no clue. What do you guys think?
I'd say either he burnt them all and none got sent out, or...
Jon did?
No, Varys did.
Oh, yeah.
Or they did get sent out, but no one gave a shit about Jon's origin anyway because Daenerys died and he was the Queen Slayer. But I assume it's the former.
Yeah.
I don't know. Other than that, I don't have an answer.
I just feel like there were so many threads that they didn't close this season. There was just a lot of open threads that they just let go, trail off into the wind, never close them.
At PD Mullen 426, why did they need a Master of Whispers? I feel like Bran can do that himself. And I actually disagree with this because remember that Bran needed Sam to connect the dots that Jon wasn't a bastard still, or just that marriage was legitimate.
Yeah.
So he still needs someone to fill out some of the details. And it probably would just help to have someone to spy on because then he knows what to look for exactly if he's looking back in the past.
Yeah, Bran is really intelligent and knowledgeable and wise, but knowledge is power. So, I mean, the more secrets, the more knowledge you have, the better. So
yeah, and then I was gonna say because like Bran's powers don't work like that either. It's not like he has every memory right off the top of his dome either. He just has access to all of them, and he can look back individually, but he has to know what he's looking for.
Mm-hmm. It's like he can tap into it, but
yeah. At Akib Criff 23, if Sansa was voted in as queen, would she still have made the North a separate kingdom and inside the North a different ruler?
I feel like she would have.
Well, Sophie Turner actually commented on this, and she said that Sansa would have never she wouldn't have taken it because she didn't want it. She's been in King's Landing before, and she didn't want to be queen after season 1. So it wouldn't have happened, is what she was saying.
Makes sense. I feel like hypothetically, if she were somehow to become queen, though, I feel like she still would have made the North independent just because of how she felt about it.
Yeah.
At Rodney, doesn't this mean the Stark name will become extinct? If Sansa gets married or dies, there won't be any heirs. And this is a good question.
I think it might.
Well, I think what they would do is just, if Sansa had a kid...
It would take the Stark name?
Yeah, the first son would take the Stark name, or whoever she marries, that would be that person's heir, and then they'd have to go until they have a son to take the name.
Yeah.
To keep it going, because they're not going to let the Stark name die out. There's no way.
And I mean, even if she married She's not gonna marry like a lord. I mean, maybe unless she married like the Dornish prince.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask. Is like, where does she marry now? Because they're their
Yeah.
own independent kingdom. I wouldn't the other kingdoms want to marry in their 6 kingdoms?
Dude, maybe she'll marry Yara.
Well, yeah, that or like just have to marry a lord of the north somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
or she maybe Robin Aaron. I don't know because the Vale and Winterfell have always had
Connections, yeah.
connections.
Her cousin.
Yeah, it is her first cousin, but
Yeah, but
it's happened before.
I was gonna say Ned's dad. He married his cousin, didn't he?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not unheard of.
Maybe they'll do some artificial insemination with Bran. Get some of his DNA and artificially inseminate someone. Possibility.
Is this Brendan? Where will the Dothraki end up? Takes.
It seems like they're just chilling in King's Landing right now.
Now there's a horde in Westeros, bro.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like they were docking up, or they were on the docks. Maybe they're leaving. Like for me, I figured that they would go back to Essos now that they don't have a leader.
Yeah.
And probably maybe just pick up back their nomadic lifestyle. And I think
Yeah.
aren't all the women and children still back in Essos somewhere?
Yeah, have vast Dothrak.
Yeah, so that's where I think that they would end up.
It doesn't ever show them getting on boats, does it? But it just shows them at the docks when Jon's walking.
Yeah, it doesn't show them leaving, but that's what I just assumed they'd be doing, that they wouldn't stay in Westeros.
Yeah. Okay, so one last thing before we wrap this up, I wanted to ask you guys. So now that all of Game of Thrones is over, all of the character arcs are laid out, who is your favorite and least favorite GOT character?
Damn, least favorite. Like, do you mean tough. Least favorite like I hate them, or just that they thought they sucked as a character?
They sucked as a character. Not like Ramsay or Joffrey, because they're like still good characters, but you just hate who their character is. Yeah.
Oh, least. Okay.
Damn.
Somebody who just sucked as a character. You didn't enjoy watching their screen presence.
Oh shit.
Dude, it changes for me though.
I know,
like, as the show goes on.
Bran in season 8 was just bland.
And I really hated Sansa at the beginning, because never forget that she betrayed Ned. Never forget. She betrayed Ned, told Cersei that he was leaving, and then she also later betrayed Jon. So that's what she does.
Dude, she was a little girl, you asshole. Fuck you.
But still, she grew up and betrayed her family again.
She did get kind of bullied into doing that by Cersei.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah, she was totally coerced. It's like...
Yeah. Okay, just the whole show in general, as a whole. Now that you know where they started and where they ended,
I can tell you my favorite is Arya.
Yeah,
it's Arya. Easy, hands down, money.
Arya's amazing. I think she's my third favorite.
Third?
What? Yeah,
that's so
I'm
random.
thinking. I know it's a little random.
Who's your first favorite then?
Whose are yours then, Ross? So I can think about it.
Either Tyrion and the Hound are top 2. I can't decide who's my first.
No, the Hound is pretty badass.
And then Arya is my third. Yeah.
I forgot about the Hound. He's my favorite, dude.
Yeah, he's so good.
I fucking love the Hound. He has so many good lines.
He does. Great.
He has the best lines, and he has good character development.
Yeah.
Especially, and just his whole arc, or that whole time with him and Arya out, is just awesome. He's my favorite.
He's got one of the best 1v1s in the show, in my opinion. Yes. Possibly the best 1v1.
Looking back, probably. I mean, that Jon versus Grey Worm could have been the one to top it, but...
Could have been the chosen one.
He's got Clegane Bowl and that. I think they're both great. He's my favorite. Yeah. I'm picking that.
Okay, so least favorite.
Least favorite.
Fuck, I honestly gotta think, dude.
All right, do you want me to give mine then, and then maybe that will give you some inspiration?
I got it now. I got it. Yeah, go. You go first.
Okay. My least favorite. I liked Bran in the beginning. That's the problem, and I liked some of his moments later on, like the Hodor moment and him going back seeing his father, all of that. But I gotta say, just how his character ended and how they set him up and knowing where he ends now, he's probably my least favorite. I was thinking about Robin Aaron too. Him or Robin Aaron, but I think Bran. I think it's got to be Bran.
I got mine. Mine is Euron, dude.
Oh, that's a good one.
I forgot about him. He sucked, dude. Sucked. He's my least favorite. I hate him.
He just looks like Bam Margera, and his arc fucking just not. It just wasn't good. And he was in the books, his character is so much better, and they just wasted it.
That's something that really sucked too. Was he was this badass dark wizard in the books,
And his death was just fucking stupid. He thinks I'm the one who killed Jaime. It's like, no, you fucking didn't. Anyway, but nah, fuck Euron. That's my pick.
Yeah.
All right, Luke.
Well, I kind of said Bran too, but
Bran.
oh, God damn it, Bran. I always do that. Euron is a good pick. Euron's such a joke.
I know. That might be my least favorite now that you brought him up.
Honestly, but now that you say
I hated him.
now you say Euron, dude. Gosh, the Greyjoys are such fucking bastards. All of them. Like even Balon, dude. I hated Balon.
He was
Just old crusty cockhead.
drown god fuck.
Yeah. Like I don't know. Like fuck the Greyjoys, bro.
Yeah. My honorable mention for who I did like would be Braun. That you said. That.
Oh,
I like
Bronn
Braun
was-
a lot. This
yeah.
season he fell off, but I mean, just he
Yeah.
didn't have much to do this season. But up until this, dude, badass.
Mhm.
And he was really smart. Like he was more clever than a lot of the characters, more savvy,
Yes.
which is cool. Cool part about his character.
Yeah, so I guess Bran.
I forgot about Sir Barristan Selmy. I think
For
he's
your
my favorite.
Dude,
He's so awesome.
you're
I love
fucking
him.
bipolar with this shit.
Bro, I'm sorry. I just thought about Barristan and it got me jazzed up.
Sure,
Sir
Barristan was
Barristan.
the homie.
He was awesome. I'm pissed he died.
Or Dario. Dario might be up there for me. I always fucking love
Yeah,
Dario.
Dario's cool too. Yeah, same. I remember a long time ago you used to tell me about how much you love Dario. He's your boy.
Yeah, he was badass.
Back 3 years ago you would tell me about
Yeah.
like 2. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. I think that's it.
Mhm.
Okay, guys, I think that's it for today. We want to give a shout out to some of our reviewers: Harris Rowe, Kay, at the Eric De Leon, at your brother Bilo. Is that Caleb?
Yeah.
Wait,
Your
what
brother
is it?
Bilo.
Bilo, your brother Bilo. Shout out.
Oh,
Caleb.
Bilo. Shout out to Caleb.
Hey, thanks, Caleb.
Hey, Caleb, it's one bean, baby. It's one bean. That's a little inside joke for Caleb.
And then DDJ122, OVO Sim, Emily Blackburn, Steezy Travie, Tori Martinez, Jay Sizzle, and then at Smoking Big Doinks.
Smoking big doinks.
Big doinks
Oh,
and
yeah.
Amish.
What?
Yeah. Thanks, y'all, for the reviews. Hey, if you're listening, please rate our pod. It helps a ton. Reviews are huge, too, if you want to leave. And then make sure to
means a
follow us
lot.
on Twitter and Instagram at Not a Movie Pod, at Culture Crave, at Thrones Facts.
All that shit.
All right, Ross, I think that's it. Time to roll back that Game of Thrones outro one more time.
Yeah.
All right, we out of here.
Last time.
Peace.
Later.